And twinning. Oh, we did not plan this. It was a thing that just happened to happen. I was thinking about wearing my Gyarados shirt, but then I was feeling a little chunky already, and then where'd it go? I was gonna go out and get Taco Bell anyway, so I was like, if I'm already feeling chunky, that shirt was a little tight, so I decided to go with the bigger one. Last time, so nowadays where I have people on stream, I don't do like the Patreon member shout out and the fridge. I was watching our last video to try to get a screen grab, like a thumbnail, and it took me a minute 30 seconds before I say, "Hey Foster, how's it going?"
I was gonna say in the last one, I didn't mind it. I thought it was awesome, but I remember just sitting here like, oh man, he's got some people. I respect.
And there's more people now, so it's it's rough.
It reminds me of that. Have you ever seen the movie 23 with Jim Carrey? You know, there's like writing on the walls related to 23.
Yeah,
that is what your apartment's gonna look like eventually. But it's just gonna be names of the Veve fam and Omi homies. It's just everywhere. You're just gonna be like, I see them everywhere.
So there's this guy that he might comment on your stuff too. Do you know Super Duper Hank?
Yes.
Yeah. So we message every now and then something. Brock McBlockchain posted out a tweet saying like he's gonna be on my show on Monday.
Nice.
And then it's like, do you have any questions for us? Figuring it would be mostly Veve related stuff. And then Super Duper Hank says like, what do y'all think about aliens? And I was like, oh. And then he posts like a video, like a documentary made in like 99 about this person that had an alien or Area 51 experience. And I noticed a guy named Bob Lazar. I was like, I know that name. And I forget about it, whatever. So I'm scrolling through TikTok. And then I see like a Bob Lazar thing with like Joe Rogan. I was like, I knew that name. So like late at night, I was like, yo, Bert, I knew that name, and here's like the documentary. And so that's what I was doing. Like I have like 3 hours sleep because I was watching that.
That's awesome. It's funny you mentioned, because Super Duper Hank actually messaged me right before we went live, and he's like, you need to mention this thing about aliens to Randy.
Wait, really?
You can't tell me it's from me, but I mean, you already mentioned it yourself, so it doesn't matter. So, but yeah, he's like middle of the interview, you just need to bring it up randomly. I just want to see his face. So,
oh, that's amazing. All right. So, was there a drop today?
There was a drop today.
Yes, wait, really?
There was a comic drop today. They didn't cancel it. Yeah,
but the market's not. Oh, I guess the market's never open during drop. Oh God, my brain.
Yeah. You know what? I was surprised that they didn't cancel it a little bit. I figured they would postpone it while they're working to kind of deal through this, but we really don't know how long the market's going to be down for at this point. So I guess to an extent, you have to maintain business as usual. And like you said, the market's closed for drops anyway, so it doesn't really change the engagement level of people being interested in a drop or not. All it means is people are going to be stuck with stuff that we're looking to offload it. So it'll be interesting when the market reopens. I mean, obviously with the most recent AMA that I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit, we got some confirmation that the DeLorean is getting an upgrade. We don't know to what extent, but both of us own the set, so I'm looking forward to that. And I picture it's going to see some volatility when the market opens, whether it's positive or negative, who knows? But I think people will be rushing into that. And then obviously with all the restricted accounts going on, which we'll also talk about, that might have an effect on a lot of the most recent drops as well. It may be some supply shock to a lot of the collectibles. And there could also be some delisting going on as well. So it's going to be a lot of interesting catalysts to focus on.
Yeah, like right before this had happened, I was doing like a fast, and I was just people took it a little too far. They're like, he's fasting to wash away our selling sins, and it's like he's only Jesus. Like we bought high and sold low. We deserve this. I was like, oh my God, I just wanted to fast, guys, and then I was like,
is this because you were feeling chunky? Because that's not a good reason to fast. You're looking good. You're looking good today, Randy. Let's bring that energy. You're looking good, man. You're looking good.
I am beautiful. What's that?
Is you are beautiful in every single way.
Christina. I did love that song back in the day. So did every not good-looking person, which is most of us. So, I feel like that caterpillar from A Bug's Life. He's really fat. He's like, I'm a beautiful butterfly. No, I was just. I had already gone, like I had a podcast like early that morning, and I had already gone like 20 something hours without eating. I was like, I might as well just see how long I can do it. And then, that everyone was commenting that. I was like, okay, well, I might as well embrace it. So then I posted a Twitter thing about it, like, until people stop being stupid. And then thankfully the market went up like the next day. I was like, so the market was like golden moments doubled. A lot of things rose like 50%.
Yeah.
And then so we kind of got our legs taken out from under us, lost some momentum.
Mm-hmm.
But again, a lot of the bullish news that I saw in there really gives it to, DeLorean, and then most likely Pixar Pals, because that's a double P. That's also going to get an upgrade. They didn't say which one it was.
Yeah.
So I had two people on yesterday. There's like specialists in Disney that could kind of give me that, what do you call it? That perspective. And then they think it's going to be Woody.
Oh, interesting.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I mean, I think, Woody's the most popular, I think, out of the drop, and it has the most additions. So I mean, I could see that. But at the same time, I think it's a nice collectible. Like, I don't really know what they do to upgrade it necessarily, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. And I own the set, so I mean, whatever one they upgrade, I'll be happy for. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, the although
missed you too.
You got some fans. So a lot of this, I thought it was bullish because it's all like long-term stuff that's good for hodlers, because they're taking things slow, and the fact that MTL isn't really their fault, it's really more to New Zealand, which someone like they want to file a complaint to New Zealand regulatory compliance for taking too long.
Yeah.
Obviously, some people will believe that it'll be under a penny, which I did the math the other day. You would have loved that, because it's maths and you love spreadsheets. That if we stay at this rate at 0.0031 or below, but I did the math at 0.0031, and we go and we get, we burn an average of 1 billion OMI per week. If that doesn't change over the next like 13 weeks, it's 13 billion OMI. And then let's say by that point we have about 5 million users, give or take. Then we would burn about 28 billion OMI over the next 14 weeks after that. And the last 14 weeks of the year, even if the drops haven't increased at all, if we're still 3 comics and one drop, but
70 billion?
It would be the last 14 weeks, we would burn about 56 billion OMI if we had 10 billion users.
Yeah.
But then even if we don't grow at all, so on January 1st, if we just have 10 million users and we're still at 0.0031, and by that time the drops have caught up and we have 8 drops per week, which I think is fair.
I think so.
We'd burn 102 billion OMI in the first 14 weeks of next year. So by April of next year, we would have burned 199 billion OMI. Whether that be out of the reserve wallet or the circulating supply depends. But I think what are your thoughts short term and long term for yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot to unpack, and feel free to cut me off at any point, because there's definitely a lot of different points to hit on. So I guess they started with Veve and then went into OMI. So I guess starting with the Veve side to kind of keep that in line, I'm really excited about a lot of the short term being relative. I mean, I'm not going to give specific timeframes, but it seems like they're planning on adding a lot of utility to the collectibles by adding gamification. They haven't really touched on the Veve Verse at all, which, I mean, that's fine. That's kind of like pinnacle of what we're waiting for. But I mean,
I'm happy about that.
Yeah. I mean, even in the short term, focusing on the Master Collector program, focusing on the OMI utility program, focusing on the web app, which was massive. I was very excited to see that. Definitely, obviously wasn't expecting too much on that right now. I think a lot of people almost kind of forgot that we were going to be getting a web application. So to have that focused on was really nice to see. And it really seems like it's pretty much at the point where they're ready to roll it out. Like if you're showing the test net that you have available and it has all the features and stuff, like, yeah, I'm sure there's some back end stuff that they need to do, but I think people don't understand why the web platform is such an important aspect. And that's because it gives us the ability to do OMI to NFT. It gives us the ability to do staking, gives us the ability to buy gems through a third-party payment provider circumventing the 30% fee for Apple and Android. Like there's so many bullish things about the web platform that I think just didn't really get focused on because people were like, well, I don't care. Like I'm just going to use the mobile platform. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. But and I mean, Dan really hit on it yesterday when he was speaking is when he mentioned the comics, like comics in showrooms, like, yes, I'd like to focus on comics in showrooms, but I'd rather focus on this, this, and this because these are the fundamental core pieces of what makes our business successful. And I'm really glad that because for the longest time, they were just trying to do everything. And when you have 5 tasks and a limited resource to do it in, and you spread your resources throughout the 5 tasks, it's going to take infinitely longer than if you dedicate most, if not all of your resources to 1 or 2 tasks at a time, get those out of the way, and then you can move on to the next things. And like Dan said, for a while, it sounds like they've been ready with some things. There's been some delays, whether it be regulatory compliance, whether it be issues with third-party partners, still waiting on IMX for a few things, it sounds like. That last 5% is where we're at now. And the great part is a year ago when we were having these conversations, because I know what a lot of people are going to say. They're going to go, well, you guys were just talking about this last year. Like this is never going to get done. The difference is last year, these were all ideas and constructs. Now they're things now. Like last year, MTL was a plan. Now people are beta testing MTL. They're through all that. They have the regulatory compliance. They have all of that done now. Last year it was, hey, we're looking to do this stuff. Same thing with the web app. Hey, we're looking to roll out a web app. Now we've actually seen the web app. It's not live yet, but they have it on a test net. It's completed. So I know Dan said the last 5% can sometimes take the longest, and I fully understand that. But using their own logic against them because they're terrible with timeframes, it seemed like they were fairly confident on some rollouts coming in early Q2. I think even if we said early Q3, if we gave them an extra 3 months for all of those things, which I get some people may argue is still not enough, but even then, it sounds like we're going to get a lot of things this year that are really the core fundamental things that we need in order to make this project successful. It's great that drops are selling out and that these things are happening, but without an ability to cash out, without an ability to add in funds effectively, without an ability to have your collectibles be interoperable, you can only make it so far. You're going to plateau. So I'm really glad that they're focusing on those things.
That is something I wanted to ask you about. What they had saying you can buy things off the web app. Is that something that you could just buy gems straight up with like the transaction is instant? Like you don't have to buy gems and then buy something. You can go and buy something with like a credit card, and then it automatically changes it from fiat to gems.
Exactly. So that's what it sounded like to me is because they're going to have a third-party merchant or payment processor, like whether it be like when you go onto a website and they're like, hey, use your Visa or MasterCard to pay for this. Like when you're on Amazon or whatever, it'll be a very similar process. You'll be able to secure the item and then you'll be sent to whether it be a third-party payment merchant or something that they've been actually able to build into the actual web app itself. And you'll go onto it and you'll be able to just enter in your credit card information. Maybe you'll be allowed to have it saved if you're logged into your account, and you just process that payment, and it will take those direct funds and it will directly charge your credit card, which I think is perfect.
Because if there's something that's really good, that's like a low mint, and it's even if the floor is, let's say, like $3,000, but it's like a number 48, and you want to pay like $15,000 for it, it's going to be impossible to put in $15,000. You divide it by 350, but it's so much easier to take.
And that's the best thing about the web app, and I think that outside of OMI to NFT, which will allow a lot of crypto whales to come in that have resources from Ethereum, Bitcoin, OMI, whatever, they'll be able to come in and they'll be able to sweep floors with the amount of money that they have. But the added benefit as well of the web app is you will be able to process payments up to whatever the limit. And I call it a benefit. I guess there's some people like you who are very impulsive. It may not be a benefit. It may be a problem, but
just spend all my OMI.
Yeah. But like like let's say my credit card limit is $10,000 and I want to buy something on the marketplace that's $9,000. I don't need to do 15 transactions. I click on that. I click buy now. And assuming that my credit card will process that payment, I'll be able to buy that all in one shot. And I've seen some other projects, and I don't want to delve too much into this today because I haven't fully thought it out. So there may be a reason for it. But this whole concept of a gem, which we know from other issues that are going on right now, is causing some problems. I've seen some other marketplaces, HRO, Recur, they all operate in fiat, and you just have a balance in fiat.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we may move to that at some point, because especially with the web app, because I know the biggest issue right now is the team continually says you don't need to load gems in order to secure a drop. Some people secure a drop, they haven't loaded gems, and then they get a glitch, and then they're upset because they secured something, they weren't able to pay for it, or they do pay for it, they get the gems, but then the transaction fails and they don't get the collectible. So I think one of the benefits with the web app is that you secure the collectible first, and then as long as you pay for it, you get it. So I think that will be good. And yeah, I mean, the gem was nice because it was easy for everyone to understand, because $1 was $1. But I mean, you could still have people deposit, like if I deposit 10 Canadian dollars on the web platform, it's equal to $7 American. And then I still have, as long as it's a universal balance that's recognized across all jurisdictions, then I don't really know that it needs to be a gem. I think they did the gem for tax purposes mainly, because a gem was an in-app currency, and then every transaction wasn't going to be a taxable event. But with KYC being mandatory and additional reporting mechanisms coming into place, it might be anyways. I'm not 100% sure. But if every transaction is going to be a taxable event anyways, which, not spreading FUD, I honestly don't know, but I'm just surmising with KYC. If that's the case, then there's no need for a gem, because a gem is just a gimmick at that point, because you're still paying in fiat. So,
agreed. I think that there's a couple of things that that I'm not so sure about, and I do want your opinion on. With everything having KYC, like I know, like Veve Fambam, son is in this, Milham and Brandy Babe, they have kids each that love doing drops. If you have KYC for everyone, how do you make it so that kids that are already like invested in this, and I don't even mean financially, I mean like emotionally, it's a family event, it's something they love doing. How do you make it so that you're not stripping away their joy? Or is it something where, like, listen, this is not something that we have control over, and you just welcome to the real world?
Yeah, and I mean, I think Cavella Anderson addressed this in his live a little bit yesterday as well. But I mean, some of the most successful franchises in the world are targeted or catered towards children. I mean, Fortnite as an example, Roblox as an example. These are all games that, are free to play or have a very low barrier to entry, but then have microtransactions within app. And I don't know how many 10-year-olds are on Fortnite, buying skins like crazy. I mean, they're using their parents' credit card, hopefully with permission. But at the end of the day, a lot of these billion-dollar businesses are built solely catered towards children, and they're still able to make it work. I'm sure a company like Veve, which the vast majority of the user base is probably of legal age to KYC, I'm sure they'll be able to figure it out. And whether that be, adding in a separate section of the app, like a kids mode, where they're not able to make any purchases, but they're still able to use the things, or whatever the case may be, they'll figure it out. I'm sure they've added in promo codes and stuff now, so there'll be ways that parents may be able to gift their kids collectibles and stuff.
Good point.
Yeah.
So before I make my next point, did you just get like a Charlie horse or a cramp when you were saying fiat? It was like fiat.
Did I? Fiat.
People are going to sound put that.
Fiat? Oh God, no! You know what? I get distracted because I'm reading comments in the background while I'm talking, which throws me off as well.
Oh, did you laugh at them making fun
yeah,
of me?
I try and address things as best as I can to people and cater my answers to questions that people are asking at the same time. Because I know when we're having a conversation, you don't have time to pull up all the comments like you would on a normal stream.
Yeah.
So I do my best to, if someone's talking about something, I'll try and reference it. But that's why my words sometimes fail me. My wife laughs at me because I can't say the word able. I say able. I'm just like very lazy.
No.
So I'll be like, "Are you able?" And she's like, "That's not a word. I don't know what you're talking about." I'm like,
okay. Yeah. So one of the other things that they had gone over was the 282 countries thing, and they're getting it all at once. And I do think that is one of the pros of that, is that they're not going to have any negative feedback. Where if they were to do something like recur, hey, just do USA and just do English-speaking countries like UK and some of Europe, Australia, New Zealand, because then half the world would be mad at you if you did that. But
I've been very vocal about that as well. I mean, shout out to Recur, by the way. Like, I know obviously I'm heavily invested in Veve and Ecomi, but I still recognize, like, game recognizes game. Like, they're doing well with what they're doing. To have payment functionality pretty much from day one, like, good on them. Like, that was something that they were planning as a part of their roadmap to have available right away. So good on them for having that available. I don't know that I agree with them rolling it out to specific countries first for that exact reason, is I feel like it creates, similarly to how people complain that the 50 beta testers must be like fleecing the market, like, oh, they're taking out, $1 million each, they're getting rich, the team, it's insider trading. And it's like, that's with 50 people. Like, what about anyone that lives outside of the US? I live in Canada. So if I invested in Recur and I saw everyone in the US cashing out, and I was like, okay, well, I can't cash out. Like, you're devaluing the things that I own. Like, what's going on here? So there's definitely pros and cons to it. At the end of the day, good on them for having it. We could debate all day about the reasons behind why Veve didn't have it right away. I'm sure a lot of the OGs know it wasn't a part of the original roadmap. Only the NFT was what was going to be the cash out functionality. When they realized they were going to mass adopt, they added it in after the fact, which Recur and HRO and these other companies had the benefit of seeing Veve struggle with, and they could say, hey, we should add this in. So first mover advantage is a positive, but it can also be a negative because everyone else can watch what you're doing and realize, hey, this is something that we should do too. And then they can take that model and integrate it and make it look like they're faster moving because they had longer behind the scenes before they released to figure it out. So,
and this is why I'm very happy that they did not mention the Veve Verse, even though I've been very vocal that I think it is coming this year, at least the first iteration of it, is because when they had MTL, or when they had mentioned MTL, I think their problem, or one of their issues, and like most people are probably going to disagree with me about this, but I think they were too open with certain things, like saying like, hey, we have MTL, we have, we're working on this. And that kind of backfired because it wasn't in a timeline in which everybody liked. But the fact that they're not mentioning the Veve Verse, and they're not mentioning, like, they didn't even really mention OMI to NFT. They mentioned OMI raffles and they mentioned MCP raffles, but they didn't mention land. They didn't mention localization. I think that big things like that we'll only really find out like maybe the month before, like we are, like, the web app. So I'm very, very bullish on that. Because obviously we got boinked last time with people spreading FUD. Well, how meets 613 boy. Is that your area code?
Yeah, 613. Yeah, Kobe and I are from the 613. Let's go.
Nice. You guys ever meet up?
No, we haven't. You know what? We're gonna have to. We should do a live stream or something. That is a good idea.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. No, and I think you're 100% right on that. I mean, at the end of the day, I think when we started, and you can relate to this because the AMAs were just less white space. The AMAs were, oh yeah, by the way, guys, I got a Batman 423 comic, which I'm going to add to my collection. I haven't put it up on the wall yet, but shout out to Jan Chabel for twisting my arm and making me get one of these. I'm really happy I picked it up. First ever graded comic I've ever owned, so pretty excited about that. So yeah, but no, it's when we first started in the community, and this is going back a year, April, March 2021, we were truly a community that was very tight knit and small. Most people knew one another. There was only a couple of content creators, and Dan and David were very much a part of the community. They were just community members that just happened to be in charge. Like Dan, for those of you that don't know, because you don't see it now, but Dan used to answer all the sport tickets. Like, he's the COO. He was the one answering the support tickets for people. Like, that's how small the company was at the time. And I think at the time, they were, not to say that they're not passionate now, they definitely still are, but they were very passionate and they were very bullish on a lot of things that they were looking to accomplish. And they would talk to people like they were their friends, because they really viewed it as, this is a passion project for us. Everyone that's here is our friend supporting us. Yeah. And then they started to grow. And remember that they were only planning to have, 30 to 60,000 people by the end of 2021. And that number dropped to several million, or jumped to several million. So, they started trying to be everyone's friend, in AMAs, answering everyone's questions, taking the time. And it gets to a point, and, you can call this an excuse or not, but it's realistic at the end of the day. There's only so much of that you can do before you're just dedicating all of your time to just talking with the community, and you're not focusing on the things that you need to do in order to make the company successful. And there was a shift sometime mid 2021, maybe Q3 2021, where they really started to realize like our community is getting far too big for us to be able to do like weekly updates, respond to everyone that tweets at us, and do all these things. And so I'm really liking the shift that we're seeing and the expectation setting that's going on. Like you said, they're not, we saw on the website last year, Veve Verse coming Q1 2022 or whatever it was, or end of 2021 even. Like we saw that. And they were making all these like, hey, we're going to accomplish this, we're going to accomplish this. And then it created all these expectations, and then they couldn't meet them. And then instead of the community trying to support that, they were saying, well, no, now you're letting us down. So now instead of letting us down, they're just not going to let us in on the things that they're doing until such a time that they're ready to release them. That way they haven't created an expectation that sets you up for failure, which I really I'm struggling today. I really respect that outlook is they're really trying to focus on what is tangible for us. Let's not make a bunch of false promises that we can't meet. Let's baby steps. Well, what are a couple things we can focus on that we know is important to the community? Do those, and then we'll move on to the next thing. And then,
oh no, Foster, we lost you. In the greatest place, we lost you. I don't know if you can hear me, okay. You were frozen like this, and I was about to get a photo.
Oh my god, someone's sabotaging me. Anyways, that's fine. I saw that I lost connection to the internet for a second, which is weird because I'm like hardwired and everything, but I get it. Someone found out I live in the 613, and they're like, "No, gotta shut him down."
Grid attack.
Gotta shut him down. Yeah.
I like that you said that instead of letting us down, they're just not going to let us in as a way to like not hurt us if we don't know anything. We don't know. Won't hurt us. I've lost my train of thought. I forget what it was. Continue what you were saying.
No, it's fine. I honestly don't even remember at this point because I got worried we got disconnected. But I just want to respond to a couple comments just like sporadically. One that I've been saving for 12 minutes.
What time?
11:59, Ivan Anderson, because I think it's a good point because it gives perspective to people. So I put out a tweet the other day because someone asked me how I was feeling about the project. And I said, I was trying to do it facetiously, but I said, I refinanced my house or remortgaged my house, and I YOLO'd all of my money into Veve and Akomi. I'm about as bullish as you can be on the project, which understandably, if you don't know anything about me, even if you do know stuff about me, I'm just a talking head on the screen. So I understand why people could say that, hey, he can't be objective towards things. I think it's important to recognize at the same time, and I'm not going to get too much into it because it goes very quickly from recognizing to bragging and whatever. Yes, I'm down on my OMI investment, but if you combine both of my investments, I'm up 6 figures. So perspective, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. That being said, even though I'm up 6 figures, there still are several things that I am concerned about, but that I believe that they're addressing. And I think that that's the biggest difference that most people don't recognize. And I think you get more of a sense of it when you're interacting with me on Twitter and you get a chance to actually speak with me. It's not that I'm afraid to admit, hey, they're struggling with this, or hey, they dropped the ball on this. I just don't go out of my way to put out erroneous tweets out of nowhere that go like, oh, Veve's failing because the market's been closed for 24 hours. Everyone fudge your, like it gives no substance or benefit because people are going to realize that maybe haven't done as much research or aren't as connected in the community. And they'll think all of these things, the sky is falling, all this stuff is happening. Whereas, and I put out a tweet earlier today, like I try to explain this to people, like I have a 3 to 5 year outlook on this investment. And I was fine investing the amount of money that I invested. Even if I lost every single penny, I would still survive. I would be okay. I did not invest more money than I could afford to lose. I have a long-term outlook. So all of this kind of intraday, oh my God, OMI's down 10% today. Oh my God, OMI's up 10% today. Oh no, my collectibles went down a little bit. Like I don't really focus on that stuff because my goal was never to make 10% of my investment. There are a lot of other investments that you can go into, like invest in stocks if that's what your goal is. And that's totally okay. Everyone has a different path. For me, that wasn't my goal. My goal, and I still believe in it fundamentally and soundly with all the utility that they will add, is that one day, whether it's 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, it doesn't really matter. I believe that OMI will hit anywhere from a ballpark of $0.50 to $1. Even if it takes 10 years, I'll still be retired 20 years before I would retire from my job. And I'm okay with that. Like that doesn't Like everyone, like you get into crypto and people are just like, hey, I'm going to get rich overnight. I'm going to do all this stuff. And to be fair, when I first got in the community, I had a little bit of FOMO. I was like, whatever. But then as I did more research on this project, I was like, you know what? No, this isn't a pump and dump. This is an investment. And it takes, like, the biggest catalyst to making money is time. Like, you need to give things time to come to fruition. And the thing is people, and not directed at anyone in this chat or watching back afterwards, but people are just too impatient. They're not willing to give things time. You know, when things are up, it's perfectly fine. But the second one thing goes wrong, it's the end of the world. You know, I told you, I knew this all along, is people go in, they'll watch 2 YouTube videos and they'll be like, well, I saw 2 dudes say it was going to go to $1, so it was going to go to $1. And then it goes down 10%. They're like, well, this isn't $1. And then, and it's just like, you know, if you understand the investment long term, now replay this clip for me in 3 to 5 years. If only still 0.3 of a penny, I'll be the first one to admit, like, yeah, guys, I was wrong. But like, it's just a shift in perspective. And even when you have that shift in perspective, honestly, it's so cleansing almost, because yeah, I still hear all of the noise of people being upset. And I do share the sentiment on a lot of the things that people are concerned about. I just kind of go, is this going to be an issue in 6 or 12 months? And if I go, no, it's probably not going to be an issue in 6 or 12 months, then I don't stress out about it. Because if I'm not planning on taking profit in 6 or 12 months, and I don't care if my investment is down 20%, then what difference does it make in the short term? It makes no difference, right? So it is what it is. Now, the people that, and this is the people that I am concerned about, no cash out, invested maybe a little bit more money than they could afford to lose, don't really understand the fundamentals of what's happening with the project. They're the ones that are concerned with genuine reason. And then you have this argument that goes on in social media is you have the maxis that are like, you're an idiot, you don't understand this, you're dumb. And then you have the fudders that are like, well, it's a pump and dump, you're an idiot, you're dumb. And then it's just like no one's actually getting educated and information on their investment. It becomes interpersonal conflicts. It's just everyone yelling at one another about how stupid they are, rather than just being like, hey, here's a consideration. And I'm not perfect. I mean, I get annoyed with people too, but I do my best when I'm talking to people and interacting on social media. I do my best to educate people. And part of the reason that I haven't been making YouTube videos is there hasn't been a ton of things that I can fundamentally educate people on. We still don't have information about all the tokenomics that are coming out for the project. We still haven't seen any updates to the utility that are coming out for the Veve collectibles. So I'm not going to go out and educate people and just be like, oh, you know, I feel like, you know, the sky was blue today, the sun was out, it's going to be a positive day, guys. Like, I'm not that guy. If I have nothing to say, I'm just not going to say it. But if you ask me a question, I'll respond to you honestly. Hey, are you positive about the project today? Yeah, not particularly. The market's been closed for 48 hours. The team hasn't done a great job of communicating or conveying why that is, even though I know why it is because I've done enough research on my own. The average person has no idea. So yeah, that's a little concerning to me, but I have no problem saying that. It's when I'm positive and people are like, you're an idiot for being positive. And it's like, no, I'm not. So yeah.
A lot of people, like I've said to a lot of my, when I'm on stream before, that for a lot of people that are new to, even if it's not new to investing or if it's new to investing in crypto, whatever it is, they haven't experienced, someone said it up there, 2018, when crypto just got demolished, when, Bitcoin lost 80% of its value, going from like 17,000 to 3,000, or, they weren't in stocks in 2020 where everything again lost like 50-60% of its value. Like they haven't gotten punched in the face before. Yeah. And I'd much rather, especially the younger guys, I'd much rather them learn something like this now. Hopefully they have the foresight to hodl and know that this is just temporary. But if they don't, then at least they're young enough where they probably didn't lose that much money.
Yeah.
What I do kind of feel bad for is really like the 40-year-old pluses that is their first time investing, like that, you know what, I got a little bit nest egg, and then they sell at that loss. It's like, oh, probably shouldn't have done that. Again, not financial advice, but the one thing that I did notice is that I had a prediction, or I had figured that we would get certain things and MTL would be first, but now that I feel like we're going to get OMI utility, even if it's just a small OMI raffle, Q2, latest Q3, I think that comes before MTL. And Reese had said in his interview with Akil Patterson that he has 4 to 5 exchanges planned over the next 12 months. So let's say 4. Figure that would be, one per quarter. It'd be one in June, one in September, one in December. How much? And I think based on yesterday, they were saying that they did want to wait on bigger exchanges. They knew which exchanges we wanted, Coinbase and Binance. How much utility do you think we would need, or do you think we need full utility before we get on the bigger exchanges?
I had an interesting conversation with someone on Twitter about this the other day, because they were basically their hypothesis was exchanges are the biggest catalyst for the token. We need exchanges. Without exchanges, nothing happens with the token. And I kind of pushed back on that a little bit. I said, yes, you need somewhere to buy the token for sure. No doubt, hands down. But if people have no reason to buy a token, it doesn't matter where it's listed, because no one's going to buy it. And, it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? It's, at the end of the day, people need to understand that the OMI token will be great, but it's not great right now. And once again, I invested in a long-term outlook, and I invested with the assumption that some of these things would already be here for the utility for the token. I didn't invest on it hoping that it was going to get listed on Binance and Coinbase. That wasn't my rationale. Like, this is what's going to be the thing. I invested because I was like, hey, OMI to NFT, being able to utilize your crypto to buy collectibles. Buying your collectible, or using your tokens to buy land, to buy non-specific IP. You can stake your tokens, which locks it out of the circulating supply. Then we found out that you can take those tokens and possibly integrate them with third-party partners. There's all of this utility that's going to be added to the token. That is why I invested in the token, because it's deflationary, and every time it's used for that intended purpose, it's what makes it valuable. Having it on an exchange in and of itself doesn't make it valuable. It makes it easier to purchase. So when that utility use case is there, it's more likely to be purchased. But I don't really focus on that. And I'll be honest with you, even with exchanges, like, and once again, this goes back to expectation settings. Setting. We'll get there, guys. I promise we'll get there. David Yu mentioned when he was explaining in the AMA yesterday, he said, we're focusing on getting listed on top 10 exchanges. We all know what exchanges you want to get listed on, and we all know what the number 1 exchange is on CoinMarketCap. Don't worry, guys. We'll get there.
Actually, which one is that? Which one is number 1? Is that
Binance,
Coinbase or Binance? Oh, it is Binance. Okay. Yeah,
it's Binance followed by Coinbase. And it's really interesting, because if you don't listen to what people are saying, you're just hearing what you want to hear, right? You're just, we heard you. We're focusing on, and then he doubled down on this, and the people don't focus on these things. He doubled down on it. We're focusing on exchange listings. We know what exchange listing you guys want. We know what the top exchanges are right now, but we're not giving them to you. We want to give you utility for the token before we get on big exchanges, because they want the FOMO and hype when they get listed on those big exchanges to be biblical. They want people to be like, yeah, the trading volume is up because we gave them utility. So the exchanges that we did give them, people are buying more on. And now these bigger exchanges are going to go out and advertise and let people know, hey, this is a coin you want to purchase. And you're going to have a massive community. Like, remember that one day, and Reese has said this, one day they're going to flip a switch and you're going to be able to use OMI on the app. Well, what did that mean at the time? Well, now we know what it means. We know that it means OMI to NFT. We know that it means being able to use it for drop raffle. We know that it could mean using it in the Veve Verse. We know all of these things are coming. They're not here right now. So I'm not going to play the soon game, but we know it's coming eventually. Like, either you believe, and there's really only 2 trains of thought to this. Either you believe the team is never going to deliver, and it's a rug pull and a pump and dump, and you shouldn't invest in it. Or you believe that they are going to deliver. It's just going to take them some time to do it. No. And if you sit in this category, then that's okay. Go invest somewhere else. No hard feelings. I'm not going to call you an idiot for leaving. I would appreciate you not calling me an idiot for saying. It's your opinion, and that's totally okay. But if you believe that they're going to deliver on these things that they've indicated that they're going to deliver in, and once again, I invested in the team. That is the reason that I had faith in this project, is because of the team and the people that they had backing it. I invested in David Yu. I invested in Dan Carruthers. I invested in Alfred Kahn. I invested in Jeremy Padawer, who's positive in it, and so many other positive influences in the space that have licensing experience, that have these relationships. That is who I invested in, because I don't believe that anyone else that exists right now could have accomplished what they are looking to accomplish, because there is only one Alfred Kahn, the person responsible for bringing Pocket Monsters to North America in the 1990s and rebranding it as Pokemon, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and all that. There's only one Jeremy Padawer, the head of acquisitions for Jazzwares, who's also the global licensor for Fortnite, Pokemon, and Roblox, who's very bullish on the project and makes his feelings on it known very publicly quite regularly. And then we hear in the AMA, hey, David goes, we hear you. We added the promo code in, and one of the reasons we added the promo code in is because we're working with brands that sell tens, if not hundreds of millions of physical items around the world, and we're focusing on delivering that to you. Literally a month ago in an AMA, Jeremy Padawer and Dan and David were joking about that exact same thing. And now David's coming out and saying, hey, we're working on it. But people, they don't connect the dots. They just go, oh, what? You didn't announce Pokemon today? What? The web app's not coming out today?
Yeah.
You didn't get listed on Binance today? And it's just, once again, it's just, if you take the time to listen to what they're actually saying and you're okay with the time frame, which, like I said, I am from the beginning, you don't worry as much, because you realize we will get listed on Coinbase and Binance. I'm 100% confident on that. I'm not going to give you a date. I'm not going to say by Q3 of this year we're going to get listed on those, but I'm confident that all the steps that they've taken in the background, the migration to immutable so that they can list the token as an ERC20 token, and all of the focus that they're putting on exchanges, I have no concerns over it. And if you have concerns, it's okay to have that conversation, but I really don't think it's anything to worry about.
No, agreed. I would have and like I keep telling people, if we would have had everything that we were talking about, like if they had Omi to NFT, if they had localization, if they had all this, then we would be to the moon right now. And it's not that it's not happening; it's just that being delayed a little bit. You have that delayed gratification. I love so specific. Yeah.
So, and I want to give a little bit of perspective to that, because there is a Moon Boy scenario that I think is important to keep in mind, because it's not unrealistic in crypto. Mm-hmm. And it kind of backs up the argument of exchanges not being more important than utility. Decentraland, which has the Mana token, some of you guys might be familiar with the project. If you're not, you can look it up on CoinMarketCap. They were listed on Coinbase and Binance for like 2 years, and absolutely nothing happened with the token.
Yeah.
They made it so that they had utility for the token and that you could buy land for it. And the token halved. Like half of it was removed. Like that is how bullish it was. And then on the day back in October, when Mark Zuckerberg came out and said, hey, we're rebranding Facebook to Meta and we're focusing on metaverses, there were several tokens that pumped. Sandbox did as well. And there was a couple others. Decentraland went from a $1.5 billion market cap, which is roughly what Veve was sitting at or the Omi token was sitting at 2 months ago. It went from 1.5 billion to $10 billion in 3 days.
It's a nice 6x.
It's 6x its market cap. And that's not a small market cap. I mean, 10 billion puts you in like the top 20 tokens on CoinMarketCap. No. In 6 days, based on something that was completely unrelated to the project. And like people don't even realize that the Omi token is not even classified as a metaverse token. It has no affiliation with the metaverse because it doesn't have one yet. It's just, there's just so many things that haven't happened yet that are coming that make me bullish. And that's what people need to remember is I would be far more concerned if I was having this conversation and all of these things were here and I was still trying to justify to you, yeah, Omi is worth 0.3 of a penny right now. Because I'd be like, why is Omi worth 0.3 of a penny? Like, there'd be no argument for it. There'd be no logical excuse. It's very obvious to see why Omi is worth 0.3 of a penny right now because it's not listed on any exchanges. It has no utility, and no one wants to buy it because of that. Like, that's what people need to recognize is when those things come, and they are coming, I just don't know when, but when they come, it's going to be very positive for the project.
Yeah, agreed. Some of the other big things that I saw, David likes to tease, and this is the second time he teased Banksy, where he had a Banksy statue, the one going like that. And then the other thing that he had on the back was Rick and Morty. And the Alex had said, "Hey, David, do you ever want to, do you want to tease anything, or have you already teased something?" And then he like kind of laughed. Out of those two things, whether it's Banksy, Rick and Morty, or anything else, what are you most bullish on? What are you most excited to see come to the app, whether it be artists or other brands?
I know that in the AMA they indicated that they were going to start focusing on some higher end, lower run collectibles, and I think that that is very exciting. I don't know that it's a specific brand that I'm excited for, but the reason that I'm excited for it is with the web app, and the reason that they're only doing it on the web app, because he said specifically the lower edition runs are only going to be on the web app. And people probably didn't really read into that either. The reason for that is you're going to need to KYC and prove that you can pay for that item, because it's going to be done in an auction system.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee you. They're going to release a one-of-one from Banksy, and you'll get a physical with it along with the digital, and you will need to prove when you put in a bid that you can pay for it. So all of these like secret rare Aston Martins that people were bidding $10 million on, and it was a joke a couple weeks back. It was like, who's going to be left? That's like hot potato. Like, who's going to be left holding it, and who's going to get? You only get banned for 3 days if you don't pay for an auction. Like, there's no recourse. People don't need to have the funds in their account. You can't add funds to your account quick enough to pay for these things. So once we get the web app and you start seeing these one-of-ones, David has already indicated they're trying to partner with museums. They're trying to do these things. Could you imagine getting the official license from the Louvre in Paris and getting a one-of-one Mona Lisa?
No.
It would be insane.
Like, Banksy, yes. High-end artists, yes. But like a one-to-one Mona, like I get it. I never expected United States Postal Service. And not that because I think it's so great. They're like how many billions of dollars in debt. It's just because like that a government agency is okay with being into NFTs as like underpinned by a crypto. It's just bananas. Obviously they're in a bind. They kind of need money, but the idea that you could get like a Mona Lisa or anything, like you can get like a Renoir girl, you can get like a Frida Kahlo or something. That would be like, you know how much Omi that would, you know how many millions people don't, both in Pokemon cards and in these NFTs, people are shocked and in awe about things going for several $100,000 or like $1 million. That is nothing in high-end art where things go for 9 figures on the daily. Like, my God. Do you know how much Omi that would burn? You know how much freaking, or like something. And I'm not saying someone's going to go for $100 million, but 8 figures is not out of the question.
It's absolutely not out of the question. And that's what people need to, like, you get the NFT on Veve, you get an official signed artist rendition or print, whether it's 5 or 10 or whatever. Like, if you could get a Banksy, you probably wouldn't be able to get any historical art, obviously, from a museum. I think that's fairly logical. Like, you don't own the Mona Lisa if you buy the Mona Lisa NFT, but it's officially licensed from the Louvre, and it's like a one-of-one that you own the only digital Mona Lisa. Like, you never oh my God, what's his name? The 100 Days piece that sold in October of last year for $69 million.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the artist.
Nice.
Was that Banksy? No, it wasn't Banksy.
No.
It was, I don't remember his name right now, but like, you know what I mean? Like there is a market for that. Remember that CryptoPunks and Bored Apes sell for $1 million, and they're technically one-of-ones, but they're still a run of 10,000. Could you imagine like a 1-of-5 or a 1-of-10? Like, it would be the same community that would be built. It's just Veve is, and that's what people don't understand. And shout out to Sam Ellis, because he's fantastic. Beeple, thank you guys. Sam Ellis, shout out to him, because he puts out great information as well. He's also a fellow content creator. He was talking about how people, when the focus, oh my God, I lost my train of thought. You go on to something else. I'll come back to it.
Okay, sounds good. Aston Martin by themselves, again, a lot of people like not even the 1-of-500s, which I fully expect to be 5 figures at some point, but the 1-of-7s, like people love exclusivity. People love things that they're only one of, or in that case, 7 of. The James Bond movie ticket, it's historical. It's okay, but Aston Martin is like a FU. I have FU money brand. That's like I'm better than. It's like Gucci. That's like whatever Paris Hilton buys or sells or whatever. And there's people that are just going to want the top of the top. And that's one of the things. Like, what would be better than like an Aston, maybe like a Rolls Royce? Yeah, and I would say like better like car performance. I mean, just maybe more well known, more synonymous with money, or like maybe like Tesla like Roadster or something.
Yeah, or like premiums like Ferrari or Lamborghini or something.
Yeah.
Like who really knows? I think that like even Disney, like this gives them a huge opportunity, right? Like, could you imagine whatever you get a Deadpool that you sign, but it's like an artist print and it's signed by Ryan Reynolds, or you get a Spider-Man, it's signed by Tom Holland or something. Like there's so many options, and we talk about utility for the Disney collectibles. You get a limited edition Disney collectible that you bid on in auction, and you get a pass to Disneyland for the year or something. Like who really knows, right? Like they have the ability to add in so much utility with these collectibles. And that's what Sam was talking about. Now it's come back to me. Shout out to Sam Ellis. We'll cut out the last part. He was talking about how Veve is really a marketplace. Like these collectibles don't belong to Veve. And then so a lot of people, and he was talking about it in relation to a lot of things that have been happening in the community, but at the end of the day, Veve doesn't own these collectibles. You own the collectibles. And who are these collectibles licensed by? They're not licensed by Veve. They're licensed by the licensors. You own official Disney licensed collectibles. So Veve is just the medium. It's the way in which you go through to buy your collectible. When you in the real world at an art house auction, the art house doesn't own the piece. You're buying it from a person, and they just take a percentage or a cut. So, people focus on all these negatives with Veve, and people are like, oh my God, the project's going to fail or whatever. It's like, if you believe in the project specifically related to the brands, if you believe in Disney NFTs, or you believe in Givenchy NFTs, or you believe in Mermicorno NFTs, and you believe that that brand is going to be, successful, assuming that interoperability comes, which I do believe is coming for all the collectibles. Once that happens, and you can bring it to other metaverses, you can bring it to other platforms, you can list on an Immutable X, you can list on an OpenSea, whatever the case may be. It's the value of the IP that is going to make that successful. The added benefit with Veve, though, is that instead of owning a 2D JPEG that you own on a lot of these other platforms, is you own something that when it's on Veve will be able to be viewed in AR, will be able to be viewed in VR, that you'll be able to interact with in the metaverse, that you can view all the metadata on. Like all of these things that are coming are extremely exciting and are things that you won't get from any other platform and anywhere else. And that's why I'm so excited about it, is if you believe in the brands. And that's why once again, with Sam, he put out his Disney collection for the Golden Moments. I put out my Disney Golden Moments collection because it's out of everything on the app, the Disney licensed collectibles are the things that I'm the most bullish on, because Disney has been around for longer than anyone in this chat has been alive, and it will far outlive me and anyone else in this chat. So invest in things that have been around before you and that will continue to be around after you. And shout out to Dan Chabelle for that quote, because I stole it from him, but I think it's very valid. So
yeah, no, agreed. I do have this kind of conspiracy theory about Disney. How do you feel about conspiracy theories?
They're not proof. I'm looking for a tinfoil hat. Here, I found one.
I
there you go.
Find the photo, or maybe I can. It might. No, I can't.
What do you think of my tinfoil hat?
That's amazing. Okay, so that one that doesn't have a mint number on it, does it?
Yeah, I have my mint number.
Wait, really?
Right here.
What number is that?
1953.
Oh, do all of them have that?
So I bought this. I can't remember his name right now. Shout out to what's his name? Joshua Evans. I can post a link in the Discord on my Twitter afterwards, but they're not officially licensed, but he's been 3D printing Golden Moments. And so he started with the partner statue, and because I own Yeah, so
Okay.
I own 3 partner statues. So they're not officially licensed. So I mean, only I could turn around selling this for $1,000, but I'm going to display it in somewhere in the background at some point because I thought it was really cool, and I try and support people in the community where I can, and I thought it was really cool, and yeah, it's 3D printed, and it's really nice.
So the reason why I asked about mint numbers is because there is, well, I'll get to Disney. I'll get to that in a second. Conspiracy theory that I have is that Disney is purposely suppressing news and purposely suppressing anyone trying to talk about these NFTs. I say this because Marvel, I think it's in their contracts that Marvel has to like retweet or do something like announce like any of the comics.
Yeah.
But Disney does not. They were tagged in a tweet once when they announced it, and maybe they're tagged in like, Disney Duo drops or whatever. But Disney doesn't retweet, Disney doesn't say anything. And there was a couple of people, it was Monarch NFT and X-Force, that, because I've been trying to get in contact with some of the Disney streamers, that people that go to the parks and they go and they stream, getting them on. And Steph Santana, she's on here a lot. She goes and she sends me stuff from like the Disney groups, and the Disney group that she just had she sent me a photo of. One of the Disney groups is like an app for collectors, Junkies.
Oh, okay.
And it's 400,000 people on it.
Oh, wow.
And they don't do anything. It's like people that go to the gym. Yeah, just did squats today. Like they can't do something and then not post about it. Even like this woman, I'll cover the name, but she's saying like, oh my God, someone parked so close to me. It's still within the line, but just goes to show you that they don't do anything without posting about it. And in all of these things, you have one person since November posting about Golden Moments, and no likes, no comments, nobody's talking about this yet.
Wow.
And they're not advertising in their parks, so they're gonna get like 50,000 people per day in like all their parks. I think it's over like 100,000 or a couple 100,000 that's on like their premises because they have a bunch of hotels and like Disney shopping, stuff like that. But I have a theory. And this kind of proves or gives evidence to support this, where Veve is not really mentioning things until they're about ready, because I think they learned with MTL that it's like, okay, we mentioned things too early, be too transparent. They mentioned DesignerCon in Anaheim and in the UK, which we were at Anaheim last year in California, so that makes sense. And to have DesignerCon in the UK, okay, they have to see their European peeps. We're supposed to be at San Diego Comic-Con last year, so they mentioned that. We are going to get that this year, and then they're going to try to get to New York Comic-Con. But D23, which is basically Comic-Con for Disney, was left conspicuously absent because this is the like 50-year anniversary of, I think, like one of the parks or whatever, or the 1953. It is the next year is the 100-year anniversary of when they actually, October 16th of 1923 is when Walt and his brother made Walt Disney Studios.
Okay.
So I think that at D23, which is Disney Con this year, they're going to announce a major Veve thing. And I think we didn't hear about it is because they're keeping it really close to the chest. And Veve right now is, again, like when X-Force and Monarch NFT was commenting on these guys' channels, their comments were immediately deleted. They were put in timeout. They were kicked out of thing. So this major theory that they're suppressing it because they want to like wow people, and they want to just,
wow.
Now maybe I'm connecting dots that aren't there, but some of the evidence kind of points to what's your take?
Well, you know what? I mean, I can't really comment on that because I haven't seen any of it for myself. But what I will say is, and it's funny, I guess I'll relate it to Veve rugged y'all. And to be clear, in case someone takes that as a soundbite, I'm not saying that Veve did that. It's just his name in the chat. He's saying he said people scream IP like you couldn't get Elsa, Spider-Man, Batman, and a Happy Meal. McDonald's net worth is $174.9 billion.
Oh my God.
So like when you're comparing like, oh my God, McDonald's managed to get IP. How did Veve do it, bro? It's like, okay, cool. But like they signed Disney in 2018 a year and a half before they released a functioning app, a
Yeah.
year after NFTs became a thing and no one knew what there was, and they had generated zero revenue. So like, if you're going to compare McDonald's to Veve, just remember that there's McDonald's has been around forever and they have a track record of running promotions.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're getting this IP. Yeah. So, anyways, that's my note on that. But talking about, you know, whether Disney is keeping things close to the chest or not, I think that they probably are, because they want to have expectation setting. And on top of that, I think that it says a lot that the team was under the impression that Disney Golden Moments was going to be like a one-time thing. And it seems like Disney is shoving their, you know, their golden moments down their throat. And people are like, oh, now we're getting more golden moments than we thought we were. We thought they were going to be spaced out more. And to be honest, I sit on that line as well. So to be clear, it's not I'm not complaining about those people. I agree with you. I was happy with the 1 week of golden moments. I was a little surprised to see the Valentine's Day one. And now we've gotten another one in the last week. I was kind of hoping that if we were going to get them, they'd be more spaced out as well. I still bought them all, but I was hoping they would be more spaced out. But it just really goes to show that Veve didn't believe that they were ready to drop Disney Golden Moments. That was up to Disney. Disney was like, no, we're releasing this because it's tied to Disney Plus week and you're doing it. Yeah. And it showed because the app completely shit the bed on the first day. But, you know, Disney believes in Veve as a medium, and people go like, yeah, Disney's just using it to make more money and fleece consumers or whatever. Like, Disney is maybe making like a couple $1 million off of Veve. Like, they're like a $100 billion company. They don't need a couple $1 million from Veve. Like, this is anything that that Disney does is calculated. They do it with a reason, and of course they want to make money, but they're not looking at Veve as, yeah, we're going to make money off of you because you're our cash cow right now. This is a long-term partnership. They've released some of their most valuable FAs that ever existed to the blockchain with Veve. If they were planning on only being partnered with them for a couple years and then doing their own thing, they wouldn't give Veve all of their most valuable IP. Marvel Comics wouldn't have all of the most valuable comics on Veve if they were going to do their own thing afterwards. Like, Disney is all in on Veve. And I'm very confident that they're going to have massive partnerships that probably still haven't been announced coming out at some point, whether it be this year or beyond. Whether it's a conspiracy theory or not, I really don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me that if and when we do get a Veve Verse, there is some form of partnership or something, or at the very least, you're allowed to use your collectibles in the Veve Verse or something. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that'd be great to, you know, instead of, let's say there's I know Veve Verse filed for their metaverse. I don't know what their metaverse being built on. Hello K dropped some knowledge the other day when he was on the podcast. He was on podcast number 69, so that was special.
I'm jealous. That's awesome.
And
that's awesome.
We I guess somebody had let it leak, or that we are being built on the Unity engine, which is not a surprise because most everyone is being built. Everything's being built on the Unity engine nowadays. Okay. It's a way to be creative and stuff. But it would be pretty cool, like, to say like, oh, hey, if two metaverses want to be interoperable, you can go from one place to another.
Yep.
And you could buy like a ticket, but maybe instead of buying a ticket, if you have a Disney or a Pixar NFT, then you could go there like for free, and you get this little like cool ride, like in Harry Potter World. You take like a train to go to the other park. I think that's something that they can do there as a form of utility. And I was thinking about this. Me and my Disney peeps were thinking about this the other day. If they have a utility in the park, not even saying give them like a free ticket or free inside, but just being able to go in the park and then buying concessions and buying whatever and get like a 10% discount. You know, maybe people wouldn't rent them out for like $100 a day, but maybe they'd rent them out for $10 a day. And, you know, like Dr. Profit just be making $3,500 a day just on his walls.
Honestly, like there's a lot of, a lot of validity to that. And I think, we've heard like, hey, you own a partner statue, you get free access to Disney World for the year. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. And remember, I own 3 of them. As much as I would love to have that happen, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that in all likelihood, like you said, it'll be like a discount on concessions, which people may not think is a big deal, but like I've never been to Disneyland, but from what I understand, like you could spend like easily $100 a day a person on food there. So
that's
like,
that's nothing.
Yeah, like if you can even save 10%, like that would be massive.
Yeah.
That would be massive. The one thing that I have to say, and I don't know if it'll ever come to fruition or not, but like I dream about it every single day because I have some billboards on my drive into work that I drive by. The day that I see like a Veve billboard, or like I go to a movie and see like Marvel advertising a movie and being like, get your official Veve collectible only on, like, what, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna lose my mind, man, because I'm gonna remember that like I was a part of this project and like way before anyone saw like any of this is even a remote possibility. And it's just going to be so crazy. Like I try not to be a moon boy because like I said, I have a long-term outlook, but like I really do believe at the end of the day, like we invested in Amazon when Amazon was a bookstore. Like I really do believe that. Like Veve, just the marketplace is like 2% of what we're really going to see in the future for what this project has to offer. And I mean, it took Amazon like 10 years to become anything notable. You know what I mean? And we've been in this for less than 2, and people are like, oh my God, it's never going to happen. And I'm like, you know what? Like, good. It's like a fine wine, man. It ages with time. And I'm just like, I get so excited. Like even with the market being down and everything, like I try and remain on an even keel. And I'm like, yeah, like things aren't great today, but like, it's still a great day, man. Like 99% of the community, and honestly, like shout out to the community, man. Like most of you put up with a lot of nonsense, and you know, I love how supportive most of the community tries to be and welcoming new people and educating new people and all of that. But I feel bad for the people that aren't going to make it, man. Like I try and be supportive as many people as I can. Like I'll talk to anyone that messages me on Twitter. Like I'll try and interact with people, but you know, I'm never going to sit here and tell someone that they're wrong and they need to believe in something. I think everyone should, you know, believe and invest in things that you feel comfortable with. Like, that's why I don't come on here and like, hey, you need to buy Omi, you need to buy collectibles. I just talk about what I'm doing and what my beliefs are. And at the end of the day, like I could be wrong, right? Like I'm just one guy, but at the end of the day, it's just like, you know, I try and surround myself with people, not that will just tell me what I want to hear, but that people that have the same beliefs as me, because it's just so great to be in a group of like-minded people. And like I said, Randy, like every time I come on your podcast, like it still blows my mind that, you know, I watched you when I first came in the community, and being able to talk with you regularly and the things that you do for the community, man, it's incredible. I don't know how you do 5 hours a day of live streaming, and just like, you'll talk to anyone, man. And I fucking love it, man. Like I just love this community, and like I can't wait. Like I'm really gonna try and come to the Comic Cons this year. I was super stoked when they announced that. I'm really gonna aim to go to London DCon. I'm gonna really try and get out there. I'll also try and go to the one in the US as well. And it looks like we may have to postpone a little bit some Omi financial parties with hitting certain milestones, but that's okay too, man. Like it just makes it. Someone said something really interesting in Spaces last night, and I apologize, I don't remember your name, but he's basically saying like, if everything was super easy, it wouldn't feel nearly as gratifying. Like when we make it, I'm gonna know that I had put up with, you know, XYZ, all the negative people, all the downturn in my investment, being down, being up, left, right, like everything. You know what I mean? And it's just gonna feel so much more worthwhile. And I see this picture sometimes online, and I find it's funny. It's like what people think hodling looks like, and it's just like a straight line of a guy riding a bike, and then there's like different ones where it's like what hodling actually is, and it's like he's going uphill, and he's going like into the water, like into a volcano, and it really is true, man. Like it's crazy how sentiment shifts so quickly. Like I think back to January, and like you could not find a negative comment about Veve anywhere online.
Yeah.
Like it was, you know, like everyone was like, this is never going to stop. You know, Veve collectibles are going to the moon. You know, we're approaching a penny with Omi. Like, this is crazy. Like, we always knew it. And then the same people a month later are like, guys, I told you this project was shit. Like, it's just like, why didn't I get out? And now everyone's like, I'm seeing so many people posting, like selling basically at the bottom. And it just,
that hurts me more than any, like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that hurts more than like I just got a physical chill, like having seeing people do that. I guess it's a path that that you got to go through to learn. Like, oh, I mean, they'll never do that again. I think Omi Player One, who's up on my freezer, he did that with like Bitcoin. He's like, he bought it and he made money. He bought at and sold, but then it went like to the moon. A bunch of people did that. Yeah, I mean, even just Disney. And there's still opportunities within, even if it's not Omi, and even if it's not even in the NFTs, like you got a bunch of Todds at they triple like your physical Todds.
Yeah, I got 12. They don't all show on camera, but I have 12 of them behind me. And yeah, I got them for like $250, and like the cheapest one you can find right now, you may find like every now and again someone quickly posts one for 500 and then it gets snagged, but a lot of them sell for like $800 to $1,000 US.
Yeah.
So
like I've been trying to find there are physical collectibles that do match with the golden moments. They're not mint numbered though. Like they either don't have mint numbers on them, or they say like there's a special Cinderella one that's 1 of 10,000, but all of them say 1 of 10,000. So you don't know which one it was. So I was trying to find some opportunity there. I couldn't, but Lori Brenner just gave me a text. So shout out to her, saying that gold, like for me, my high school graduation, it was the golden graduation because it was the 50th year. Now you could make the argument that because it's the 50th whatever anniversary that they were celebrating at Disney, that was why they're called golden moments, or because there might be 50 of them and we've only seen X amount of them so far. So that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and I mean, I've always assumed that it was going to be 50 golden moments because of the 50, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's their 50th anniversary and they have golden moments, but maybe there's 20 golden moments. Like, who knows, right? Or maybe there's 100. Like, who really knows at the end of the day, right? Like, I do hope that they don't release everything golden, though. Personally, I mean, I don't really want a gold Darth Vader. I'll buy one, but I'd prefer.
So this has been talked about before. I don't think anyone's going to be ready to buy Veve. I'm sure people have tried, but especially for Disney, they're already making money. They don't want the headaches with this, with MTL and whatever. But if anyone's going to buy it, I'm pretty sure that one of the stipulations for a company buying them is so that they would why would you get rid of Omi utility? Like if I'm a company and let's say I have $100 billion and $10 billion is going to go to try to buy Veve right now, I don't even know if this is legal, but I would make damn sure I would be buying as much Omi as I could before I purchase the company and then implement crazy utility. Yeah. So I don't think anyone would just rug that. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, so I have a couple thoughts on that. Firstly, I keep hearing rumors that Disney is buying Veve. I really don't think that that's going to happen, and there's a couple reasons for it. The first one, Veve is a platform, right? Like they're the platform that hosts the collectibles. Technically, another platform could host collectibles, right? Like I said, like similar to how you have art auctions and stuff. Like there's different auction houses that sell art. Like you can pick the platform. So like Veve is really just a platform that's been able to secure the licensing rights to sell these officially licensed collectibles. But the value comes from the IPs themselves. And if a company like Disney was to buy Veve, DC, as an example, is probably not going to want to have their collectibles sold on a platform that is owned by their direct competitor. I don't see Disney, or I don't see DC wanting Disney to control what happens with their IP, essentially, because that Disney's going to prioritize even like the subtle nuances. Like in the store, they'll write a code that makes it more difficult to find DC collectibles. You'll find Disney and Marvel collectibles before you find DC collectibles. They'll be lower down and things like that. People, when they type in the search history, like there's little things that the company could do at that point if they owned them. I don't think that would ever happen because there might be other companies that would want Disney to control their IP. I think if a company was to buy Veve, it would be a company in the tech space that has no affiliation with any licensing associated with anything else on the app. So whether that be an Apple or whether that be an Amazon or something like that, Amazon, I could see doing because they already have a digital marketplace where they sell physical items. I could see them integrating Veve into their Amazon marketplace and having a section that sells digital collectibles. I could see a company like Coinbase NFT trying to buy Veve and integrating their platform into the system that they have going on because they already have all the licenses. So for Coinbase, like to me, and once again, I'm not trying to spread a rumor, but to me, it's far more likely that something like Coinbase buys Veve or FTX, a big exchange, or Binance or something, than a Disney, personally. Regardless of who was to buy them, obviously, if it was a crypto company, they would likely keep the token intact. It's important to remember that OMI, the reason that it's not called the Veve token and it's called the OMI token is because Ecomi, which is the company that controls Veve, the Veve app is just a very small part of what they're looking to accomplish in the grand scheme of things. So they had the opportunity to rebrand as the Veve token when they migrated from GoChain to ERC, and they didn't do it. And I think part of the reason that they didn't do it is because of that aspect, is because Veve is only going to be one aspect of where they use the OMI token. And at the end of the day, the founders own 20% of the OMI tokens. So,
pretty top heavy.
For them to get let's say the OMI token is worth $1, right? And they want to buy the company out. They need to buy the company out for $50 billion plus just to cover the tokens that the team owns.
Yeah.
And that's not even the valuation of the company. That's just like the shares that they have. So even if the team was to sell, they're going to want to keep their shares. Like that's the exact same thing as being like, hey, I wonder if Jeff Bezos will ever sell Amazon, and if Amazon stock's just going to disappear, if they're just not going to use it. It's like, no, it's tied to like the OMI tokens are used as part of the minting process for every collectible that's created on the app. Like the entire app has been created with the pretense of having OMI. Like it would be like, I don't even know how they would remove it and have the app still be successful on the blockchain because they're NFTs that they're selling. So I really don't see that. And if that was to happen, I mean, we're so many years off of that happening. Like in the moment, because we live in the moment, we're like, oh my God, the Veve's like the big company, whatever. Like Veve made $100 million in revenue last year. Like that's not that much. Like Disney's not looking to acquire, you know what I mean? Like it's just not happening. Like I still have the McDonald's example up. In 2019, McDonald's made $21 billion. So McDonald's made 200 times more than Veve did. You know what I mean? So like, I don't think that they're on their radar. And I mean, the same argument, right? Like why doesn't Disney buy McDonald's? Because then they can sell their collectibles at McDonald's. It's like, you don't need to acquire a company to make revenue off of them. They already have their revenue share and agreements in place. Like Pokemon didn't buy Toys R Us because you could buy Pokemon cards at Toys R Us. It's just Veve is just a marketplace. I don't think that a company actively is looking to purchase them, or even if they were, that they would sell at this point.
Agreed. And there's 2 points I want to kind of touch on there. One is that Matt G is responding. He would lose my mind if he saw like a Veve billboard or whatever. Yeah. I don't think that I would rather Veve not market. Because I would rather them use their funds for other things, like Reese had said, putting it, to pay the Veve Verse and using it for licensors or whatever. I think other places will market for Veve. Like if you have, I mean, for me, it'd behoove me really well to go on, I don't know, spend like $1,000 somewhere, because if I knew that I got like a 3% fee coming from Veve if they were to buy my NFTs, yeah, I'll post that everywhere just so I can make money on the back end. So and everyone's partnered with Veve, so we'll get it everywhere. The other thing I wanted to bring up was you mentioned Coinbase acquiring them. Right now, what I think Coinbase is doing, because they are heavily invested in Immutable X, I think they're going to go and, they even mentioned on the stream yesterday that Immutable X is trying to get interoperable with OpenSea. Well, why would they need to do that? So that we could have, or not necessarily we, but I think Coinbase wanted to do that because Coinbase doesn't necessarily have any IP of their own. They have a couple million people on Coinbase NFT, but if Immutable X gets interoperable with OpenSea and Coinbase owns a good amount, or they invested a good amount into Immutable X, then you could have OpenSea stuff on Immutable X, another marketplace. which is great for Coinbase, but it's also really great for us because all of our stuff can get on OpenSea also, and Coinbase. So our stuff can get in 3 big places. Immutable X, we could already use OMI on. OpenSea, they'll probably be able to support OMI, and then Coinbase NFT obviously will be able to support OMI as well. So
yeah,
that's my big thing. I think a lot of this is coming from Coinbase. So I don't know if they'll buy us eventually. I don't know if they weren't really my idea of them in the running. I thought it would be, because I think in the future you'd have to have uber mega money. I mean, right now I think Vanity Fair valued us at like 4 or 5 billion or something. Or they said multi-billion, and I think Akil Patterson said 4 or 5 billion when he was on the podcast. But in your, David, you said we'll gross about $1 billion this year. Do you think he is underselling it, like he's been underselling like a lot of stuff? Like, oh, we're gonna have this many users. Oh, 10x the amount of users. Do you think? I mean, I said it will have 2 billion, which I know is a lot. But what's your thoughts? How fast can we grow? And do you think they're purposely trying to slow some growth because they know that fast growth brings certain problems?
I agree with that. I think that I think that $1 billion is revenue that they can equate to what is coming conclusively. So okay. I think that $1 billion in revenue is for drops. Like I think that I know that you've come out and said you think that it'll be doubled. You think it'll be 2 billion, and you think that instead of 10 million users at the end of the year, we're going to have 20 million. I think regardless, and I don't know what the revenue number would be because I'd really just be guessing. I think that the bigger focus is what utility will we have in place in order to make the money that they make do work for our investment. So whether it's $1 billion or $2 billion, and I'll give you a perfect example. They're forecasting $1 billion of revenue this year. If they're able to roll out OMI utility in Q2, and shout out to, and God, I can't keep up with the comments. You guys are great with the comments, but someone put, it was like 20 minutes ago in the chat, they were like, I think it was at 39. Oh God, it was like an hour ago, but someone put in, and you know who you are, and you know that I know, you know who I, anyways, they talked about how Akomi put out a tweet talking about the update of the AMA. And as a part of that update, they talked about how OMI utility was going to be rolled out in Q2. So assuming that we believe that their expectation setting, they're not focusing on things that they can't accomplish, and they're only focusing on bite-sized pieces that they can accomplish, that means that we know that we could have utility for the token in Q2. So if we make $1 billion because they focus on giving utility for the token, that is conceivably, I mean, we'll be 3 months in, so let's argue 750 million. That's $750 million that could be used to burn tokens directly from the circulating supply, either via the 2.5% fee in the secondary market for all transactions, OMI to NFT whenever that is rolled out, and any other third-party token integration, and raffles from the OUP. And that doesn't even account for staking as a form of utility in the OUP. So if they're able to roll all of those things out, even if we say the end of Q2, so 500 million, but they start at mid-year, it's going to be crazy to see how much OMI they can burn at these low prices with having that in mind. Now, conversely, they focus on making more revenue, which means more drops, which means more back end on that. And they focus less on the fundamentals, which need to be focused on. Well, that's great. Then we're burning out of a reserve that we know isn't even doing buybacks right now. So is that really the focus that needs to happen? So for me, regardless of if it's 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 billion, it doesn't really matter, because what I need right now is low prices for the OMI token, utility for the token so that it can burn, and I need it to burn directly from circulating supply. Those 3 things happen, we're going to be absolutely laughing.
Agreed. I like how you put that into words, like, okay, if they are making $1 billion, then let's say how much of that will be in Q2, Q3, and how much will that burn the OMI token? Yeah, even if we don't start burning the OMI token, even if it's only slight utility of just OMI raffles, that's still going to be I think that's in time for just another exchange. I think the exchanges were, Hello K even said it, they were two smaller ones. They were something called like, they're two Asian ones. They're called, because they had, the two exchanges had followed Veve, or they'd followed. Do you know what they were? They're like, I forget their names.
For what? Sorry, say that again.
The exchanges were, Hello K hypothesized were like leaked because they were following Veve, or they're following.
Oh no, I don't know which ones those were.
They were two exchanges I never heard of. One was smaller than Bitmart, but one was, or one was smaller than KuCoin, and one was, I think, bigger than KuCoin. They were like Quakes, or I forget what they were.
Huobi?
Maybe they were both Asian exchanges.
Like Bittrex or something, or
no, I forget what they were.
But what did we get listed on? Like Bitmart or something, or BitHump?
Well, we got Bitmart, but he said one was smaller than KuCoin. Like it was
a bit something. I knew it was a bit something.
So. Yeah, and then the other one was he said was like around KuCoin or like larger. It was, but those are the ones that I think that I think we have everything lined up. But like you said, they have a place in which they want to do it because they want certain utility first, and they want to have it be the whole shebang.
Yeah, for sure.
I just ate Taco Bell, so I'd probably throw up. I'll just give that to Foster. I'll just say he wins that one. Do you have like a physical fitness test for your job they have to pass each year?
No, not every year. You needed to do a physical fitness test to get the role. And I think that there's certain like when you get to a certain age, I think you need to as well. But yeah.
Okay, cool beans.
Indian buffet, that's awesome.
We used to have that in the military where we would have to go and do a test each year, and it was like the 3 weeks leading up to your physical fitness test, everyone's like dieting to get like the waist measurement. The waist measurement was a big thing. And then they have to, people were sucking weight, people were in the sauna. It was crazy. It was nuts. Finally catching up on comments here. Do you want to just do a quick 2 push-ups and I'll do 1 so you can give you a comic?
Sure.
Okay.
Do I have to turn my camera?
I don't have a clean floor. I'm not putting my hands on that. I'm not putting any of my body that I don't need to on that floor.
Well, can people trust that I'm going to do it, because it takes forever to set up my camera?
Okay. Yeah, I'll trust.
I will do them. I will do 10
gang push-ups.
But I need. Will people trust that I did it?
Can I do it on the outside? I don't want to do it in my.
Yeah, like I can't. Like I would have to completely change my setup in order to do it. I'll do push-ups if the people want push-ups, but because you have a tablet, right? So you can like.
Can you see on the outside?
He trusts. When I come back red-faced and out of breath, I'm blaming this on you.
How many did you do? I don't know how many I did.
That was way more than 1 or 2. Holy crap.
I forget how many.
I think as I walked back to my computer, I saw you do more than I did. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Tino.
You did 34? Oh
no,
man,
I didn't. Did I really?
Yeah.
I wasn't even counting.
I got to 13. And then I was like, man, I'm out of shape. And
I got up when I saw you coming back. So I probably could have got like 1 or 2 more. But
I as I was coming back, because like I can see my monitor from like 6 or 7 feet away, I just see you going like I was like, oh my God, I would not want to fight this man. Okay, cool. Yeah, there you go.
My knees were not on the ground. But I hope everyone likes my space cat pants. Taco cat in space.
Nice.
Forget where we were going. Other things that we were talking about.
Getting your breath back. We're good.
Yeah, so I fully admit my follies of should have gone in a little bit at a time. If I had done what if I put most of it, well, you have most of your money is obviously now in collectibles because they shot up like a mother clapper. But
yeah, so I invested like a sixth of the money in that I invested in Veve as I did into the Omi token, and that 1/6 is up 5x what my Omi investment is. Like I do you know if vault value works anymore? I feel like it's glitched.
I don't know. Although that's one of the updates that we're gonna get. Like you click on something and they give you like an estimated valuation on it.
That's what it was. I don't know if that's updated or not. And I've bought some collectibles since that I haven't updated yet. Yeah, you definitely beat me. I didn't, I'm gonna blame it. I didn't stretch first. I'm more of like a little warm up kind of guy. And
I have like 3 things to Taco Bell in me. I almost puked. Like, could you imagine if I just puked on camera?
Oh god.
So if you would have done the opposite of what you did and put in only 1/6 of your money in Omi and 5/6 in collectibles, and you have, let's say, like, you have like close to $1 million now or something, give or take. At what point would you start to sell off? Be like, this is too much in collectibles. I need to diversify. Or would you be like, nah, man, go to the moon?
Do you want the answer that I would do, or the answer that I give because I speak to my wife and she's she's the boss? Like... no, she's not here. Oh. But it's recorded so she could listen. So guys, this is all a secret. We all deny this. No, you know what? Like my goal at the end of the day has always been to retire. I think that's everyone's goal when they invest, whether it's realistic or not. I mean, we'll see, right? I don't really know at the end of the day. I think that anyone should take profit when they have the ability to do so. And I think that people should never be shamed for taking profits, because I think that is something that happens a little bit too much, is people will take profit and people will be like, oh, what are you doing? It's going to be worth more like later on. I think everyone has a reason for taking profit. The only people that I have an issue with is the people that are the people that go out and say, they're upset with the project so that they sell at the bottom just because they're upset. Like, to me, being upset about an investment doesn't change the fundamentals of said investment. And I've seen a couple of people in the community, even some like notable people in the community, that are like, yeah, I'm selling my investment. And it just doesn't really make any sense to me. Like we all have bad days in our investments and we all get frustrated sometimes, but it's just a bad look. Like, even back in November of last year, like, I tried to sell all of my collectibles for Omi. But even then, like, I wasn't like, hey, Veve's a bad investment, don't invest. I was just like, hey, I can't keep up with all this Veve stuff. I'd rather focus on Omi. Thank God I didn't, because then we had that huge pump in January. But I don't know. I think at the end of the day, hitting $1 million, and I know you did it last year, it sounds like a great number, but then you realize I'm always gonna be that guy that like we get there and then I got to hit the next goal and then I got to hit the next goal. So like, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see where things go. I think for me, what I would prefer to do is take my profits in collectibles and transition it into Omi. So like, my biggest concern about the collectibles has and always will be the liquidity of said collectible. So I'll give you a perfect example. Like, I own partner statues. So partner statue had an all-time high of about $50,000. It's down now. It's at like 22, 23, but I didn't take any profit at $50,000. I firmly believe it will hit 6 figures. And when it hits 6 figures, I'll probably sell one. But that'll hold longer than that because I believe it'll go even higher. But when it hits 100,000, I'll probably sell one. The problem is, how many people have $100,000 to buy that collectible? And it's not just how many people have $100,000 to buy that collectible. It's how many people have $100,000 to buy my collectible. because what makes my collectible more appealing than any other collectible? Now, as a perfect example, like I said, I own the 1953 NFT. 1953 is a Genesis year. People may find it more appealing. Maybe they had a parent or grandparent born in that year. Maybe you were born in that year and you want to buy that because it has meaning to you. Then it makes perfect sense. Maybe you pay a premium on it. Otherwise, why would you buy my 1953 over a 1500 mint or a sub 1000, right? So my concern is who is buying these collectibles when it gets to that price value, right? Like there's a lot of Bored Apes that are listed for sale, but how many people are buying Bored Apes, right? Like how many people have $500,000 to just drop on this? So whereas with Omi, eventually your liquidity will get eaten up and you'll be able to cash out if you want to cash out. So even if I wanted to list a million Omi for sale when Omi's at 10 cents and that's $100,000, someone will eat through that liquidity at 10 cents eventually and I'll get out of my money and I don't have to worry about it. So I think eventually what will happen is I will try and take profits out of my collectibles, rotate that into Omi, and then take those profits relative to the amount of Omi that I have to try and always maintain a bag of, it really depends, but like, because realistically, if you think Omi's going to go to $1 and I have 14 million Omi, like a couple million Omi is more than enough Omi to hold on to, right? Like you could liquidate 10 million out of the 14 million. But at the same time, like I would really like to acquire Omi at these prices, but I still believe that in the extreme short term, the collectibles will probably do slightly better than Omi, which is what I'm trying to take advantage of because I'm trying to take advantage of getting as many collectibles as I can now. And then when Omi to NFT comes in and all of these crypto whales come in, whether they have Omi or not is irrelevant because what I'm selling in is Omi. So they'll convert their ETH into Omi or whatever, and they'll give me that amount of Omi for it. And then I'll own that, and then I'll be good with it. Because I would like to, ideally, I would like to get to at least 20 to 25 million. So we'll see. We'll see if I can make that happen or not. And if I can't, I'm still not selling my Omi. I still hold every Omi token that I've had. And I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, he doesn't have it, whatever, like blah blah blah. That's my 14 million Omi. Like I still have it. I haven't touched it. It's sitting off to the side right now. I'm just leaving it be. And when it does what I need it to do, then I'll have a look at the price and figure out when I'm selling and how much. I think for you have taxes and you own a lot more Omi, so I imagine the strategy is probably somewhat different. Do you want to touch on your strategy at all, or?
Yeah. I feel like the people that are following me right now that have that are subscribed to me know that in general I come out of left field with things, and in general I do things that aren't that goes within the norms of society. So I did learn how to count cards when I was like 17. Obviously couldn't put it into practice until I was 18 and 19, where I could go on cruises, because in the US you can't gamble on 21, but in international waters you can.
Okay.
So cruises was really big for me. And I am not great. I'm not like the best at poker. I just had Arya Investments on, who is like an amateur poker player. Like he goes to World Series. He'll go to the World Series of Poker this year, and he plays like for a living. He has like $1 million in digital land on Earth 2 and in Essence, and he's in Omi as well. He's got a few million Omi. He does videos on it. He's got a few NFTs, but we've gone to Atlantic City together, and outside of counting cards, what I find is that you can get into there's two different ways to make money in Texas Hold'em if you are not the best player. If you're good and you know what you're doing, the two different people to make money on are the people that come in like for the high hands. Like every hour they do like a high hand. Like if you have, if you had a quad aces, or you had a bow like kings full of queens, and nobody beats that hand, then you get like a couple $100.
Yeah.
And people go in, they try to get that hand. Those people suck. Those people don't know what the hell they're doing. And also the other person is that the people that are rich and drunk and don't give a fudge about if they lose $600 a hand. So, not because this month I will still. I did 8 hours of streaming yesterday, so I'll do. I will not go to Atlantic City this month. I will be doing nothing but streaming and making content and doing everything because I'll get paid for that next month. But I think in like the first week or two of Atlantic City, I will have to like live there, and I will sell like I have a couple grand that I can go, and that'll get me rolling. And then I will sell NFTs to get taxes, but I'll pretty much live in Atlantic City to make as much money as I can, because it's about 117 that I have to pay, and if I put it over four quarters, one payment each quarter, because there's a short-term and a long-term payment plan. Figure about 30-ish thousand per. So the first one I'm pretty sure I could do pretty easily, but the second payments I would probably have to go and sell some Omi. Yeah, I kind of suck.
And that's all gains from Tesla and Bitcoin, right?
It's Tesla. It's not really so much Bitcoin. It's Tesla, mostly Tesla. Well, no, maybe half Tesla. But Pokemon cards is the the Pokemon cards I can go and I can get only a 21% tax rate on because I have the because it's through the Chavez project through the business. But the stuff on Tesla, some of that was short-term capital gains, and that's like a 45% tax, and that is awful. Also, what is this bot? Get out of here. Best cams, fun, hot.
Hey.
Hey. I blocked. Okay, I blocked him already. That's why I can't block him again. So yeah, that's the big one. I mean, I did some reading on it last night, and apparently, and I'm not going to do this because I've seen people that have fudged with the IRS, and their lives are hell. For like 18 months they're in an audit. Every time they do their taxes, it's always looked at with extreme prejudice afterwards. But there are some cases where people just don't pay the taxes for like years. Now, most of those people, they owe like, in total, after like 8 years, they owe like 200,000. Not like, it's like 10,000 this year, 20,000, give or take. It's not, 100,000 at once. So I think I would be on the IRS's radar if I were to not pay or pay like.
Yeah, I think generally you run into the issue. Like if you don't owe, you're fine to not submit your taxes. They don't care, right? Like, they're like, whatever. Like if you end up submitting them late and it's like, hey, we owed you money, they're going to be like, okay, whatever. But if you owe them, especially like a considerable amount of money,
and I already
they don't get their money, they're going to be like, nah, like.
That's
crazy.
So yeah, that's what I'll do. And most likely I'll the first quarter will be fine. And then in July I'd have to sell a little bit of Omi, unless I could sell more NFTs, and I could do it again. Make miraculous things happen.
Well, you seem to make miraculous things happen all the time, because I don't know where all this money comes from, but like every single time I'm talking to you, it's like, oh, Randy, you bought another 500,000, right? Yeah, more like 3 million. And it's like, what just happened? Like, it's crazy, man.
So, I mean, what I used to do also is I used to be a private investigator, and I got really soft, and I just like every now and then I'll do things like for free. I remember reading this on Facebook Memories where this one girl or woman, she had a daughter that she fell for this like smooth talking British guy, and she owned a barn like for horses, so she had a little bit of money, and she got scammed out of her money because he was like he was like one of those bots, but in real life. It's like, oh, I'm a BitREX trading investor person. So she gave him like his logins, whatever. And then she saw great returns right away. And then she's like, oh, give me more, and then she just wiped her out. And just, so things like that, like I would do, that one I charge for, but there's some people like that don't really have anything. And then they, it's like a sauce, like, I don't know. I have like a weakness for people that are like really down on their luck, and I was like, all right. So, every now and then I would do a private investigating job for the money. Sometimes I would use those funds and use it for like other jobs for charity, for those types of things. But yeah, that's the goal. For trying to pay for taxes. I did have something else that I was gonna Walt. Here it is. To push back on the Walt thing. I think by next year. Maybe this year, but definitely next year, you have $100,000 wall, like easy. because it's already been like people were already buying it. Granted, they were buying gems for like 0.6, 0.7, whatever, but they were buying walls for like $48,000, $50,000. I knew about Club 33. We have to pay like $30,000 a year to Disney to be in this club where I think you get some benefits, but it's also just a place where you can buy things that other people can't, and you have to pay more things. It's ridiculous. And then I saw this thing about Disney Vacation Club that me and Steph Valentano were going over yesterday, and they're saying it's like a points thing. You pay $25,000 and you get like 125 points, but you get these points yearly. Every year you get 125 points, and each thing that you do at Disney like can cost you points. Like you could pay for them in points. So you can go and you can get let's say like 4 nights at like a hotel. It's like 30 points a night depending on where you stay, or 21 points a night. So basically you pay $25,000 up front, but you get 4 nights at a hotel or 5 nights at a hotel, each year, like for free, because you can use your points on it. Not including stuff at the park, not including stuff at, so that's how they get you there. And then you just spend money that way. But what is people are paying $25,000 up front, and you don't really get your money back for like until years later. And there's like people like rolling over each other to try to get that. And Club 33, there's a wait list. There's some people, you said, not everyone has, $100,000. And most likely if you have, let's say $150,000, you're not going to spend, 66% of it on one collectible.
Sure.
Unless like someone like me spends, of it on like a trophy Kangaskhan.
Yeah.
But there are people like that. And, it was 4,333, but it's less than 4,000 now because Dr. Profit has 350 of them. And there's people, like you that have 3.
I don't think people realize that either too. Like that's such an interesting point. Like the fact that one person and it's so funny because I'll hear people be like, that's hi Fanny. It like people will be like, they think it's a negative. They'll be like, oh, he owns so many, he's gonna control the supply, like whatever. But like people don't realize that those things are locked up forever. Like he is not selling those things, and like the supply has just been reduced by like basically 10%. It's like it's crazy. Like it makes me so bullish on certain collectibles because of that. And like that's
why I love Secret Rare Alligator Loki. It's because it's not because it's like the greatest character ever, although like some people call him Superior Loki. He had his own his own comic that just came out because people loved him. And there's rumors that he's going to be in the Groot series. Everyone was commenting on the video yesterday, like Groot to the moon, because Marvel like really said, I Am Groot is coming soon to to Disney Plus. So everyone was like, yo, I need this Groot. But so you're at like 13% of Secret Alligator Loki's locked up.
Wow.
Between me and like 3 or 4 other people. Because I've made the stupid decision of telling people I'll never sell. So I can't sell them. So I can't. So that's the other thing. All the NFTs that I have to sell would be like a Eddie Rizzo, or like a Fantastic Four #1, like Secret Storm, Captain America, stuff like that. I cannot tap into the Lokis.
You know what? I will say eventually, and I hope people are understanding, like when the day and time comes that you do end up selling a couple of them. Like I think what people don't realize is that you've given them a fantastic platform and opportunity to accumulate, and you're a champion of what that collectible represents. But like I hope people are understanding if and when you do sell some, just because it's kind of similar, like as some of I've developed a relationship with Pro the Doge, gotten to speak to him quite a few times, and we text regularly, but it's just and he's never said this, and I want to make this clear because I don't want anyone going over and being like, oh, whatever. Like I personally feel bad for him because I feel as though he's in a position where like Doge is what gave him his platform, but he can never sell his Doge. Like unless it hits $1, like he's committed. Like that money is gone. You know what I mean? Like because he can't sell because it would ruin him, because people would be like, you exploited us. You told us that this was the investment to make. You were a champion for the community. And now you're making $100,000 profit and leaving after, we bought your merch. You have, a YouTube channel, all this, like he's stuck. And so I really hope that people don't do that to you. You know, like it's fun and like I enjoy you doing it. And it's like fun banter, but like, I just.
So I think there's a difference though between me saying like I buy Secret or Alligator Loki because I love them, which I do, even though I do think there is opportunity there. Pro the Doge, I think, has a different one because he says, he has said in the past, like, Doge is the investment that, and I'm not speaking here nor there. Maybe at the time it was, maybe at the time it wasn't, maybe it was just, whatever it was. Even if it was at the time the best investment that he could see, that he could make, that anyone could see or make, things change, and suddenly you have a thing, and even if it wasn't a Comey that was partnered with like the greatest licensors in the world, even if it was something else, again, things change. You have new information come out each year. Like I think that maybe the greatest invention to come out of this century maybe is maybe AI, or people think that might be the ruin of us, but there's a very good possibility that the greatest invention to come out this year hasn't even happened yet. Like the greatest technology to come out of this century might not have happened yet. What that?
I don't know what this is. Veve just tweeted it. Are you able to pull it up or something?
Yeah. I will do the thing.
They made an artist announcement. A new artist was just announced.
All right. Hey, now, ladies. Yeah.
Comes out on Saturday. I don't know this artist, but 19,000 followers. I don't know. I don't know him personally. Maybe someone in the chat does, but
I love the upside down ice cream cones that look like poop.
Yeah.
Those are adorable. I would love that on like my real.
I saw that on his profile,
yeah. But yeah, so I think Pro the Doge would have a
he'd have a hard time, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh, so another thing that I was working on, which I didn't even say before, but I was talking to someone, I don't know if I can give their name, a big person that has some money and has experience with NFTs, who was debating about buying a Subway not too long ago, just for just to have, like, passive income, whatever. He said, as for anyone that's under Yum, like Yum Foods, like Taco Bell, whatever, as long as you're using their brand like in a positive way, they don't really care. Like if you're trying to throw them under the bus, then yeah, they're gonna come after you. So he said what I should do is I should make a Taco Bell NFT with giving it utility, like make it like $100 thing, and I put it in the smart contracts. Like if you have 5 of them, or if you hold, then basically if you have a Taco Bell NFT of mine, that you would get 1 free taco a month, or one free, and if you have like 2 of them, instead of 1 free taco, it's 1 free item. You have 3 of them and you hold, then it's like a combo or something, and maybe that winds up costing me in the future a couple $100 a month. At least I can get that initial $10,000 nut, and then that could help. And if I make money, so I might do something like that as well. Just pull a miracle out of my keister. But it would have to be done in like 2 weeks, because that's when some of these things are due. So I will.
Oh man. Well, yeah, you know what? I think you definitely are a champion of the Taco Bell. So I think that that's
we're not in America. Yeah. So I know you said, the goal is to retire and everything, and maybe have something set up for your daughter. And when you have, I know you would at 100,000 you'd sell that. That's the Walt though. What about your other collectibles? At what point do you sell, or do you go into other collectibles? Do you go into Omi? What do you go into?
Well, so I now have. How much do I have? I'm checking. Oh, my account's not banned. That's good. we survived that. So my wife also has an account, but on my account I have 298 collectibles, 66 comics, and 56 full sets. And shameless plug, if you guys want to follow me at Foster Hilt, on the situation, you can check me out. I have well, actually you can't, because the market's closed, so you can't. But when the market reopens, if you're watching this after the fact and you guys want to follow me, I do my best to follow everyone back, and you can follow me. I do have some of the golden moments listed for 9.9 million, so you guys can just search high to low and follow me, and I will follow you back. But of course, we can't do that right now because the market's closed. But no, so I don't need 56 sets. For me, I would say there's maybe 10 to 15 sets that I think are going to be like really valuable long term, like the Disney Golden Moment sets, a couple of the DC items that I own. I don't have a Pride, but like Batman Black and White series. I have a couple Todds. I have a couple Nightwings. I don't have a Rizzo yet. Golden Moments, I own every single one, including 3 partner statues. And I did pick up 12 Winnie the Poohs because I think they're going to do quite well. And they were very undervalued, in my opinion, at the time. So I'll hold on to all of those, maybe take profits in some of the ones that I have multiples of at some point. But for me, like I said, the biggest, and I don't want to call it an issue because people are going to collect what they love, but like Veve is going to become so oversaturated at some point that if you're not collecting something that has utility or has value based on the IP, it's not going to be worth anything. Yeah. And when I first started, like Master Collector sounded like a great idea. So I was like, I'm going to collect everything. And then I started to collect things. And now I realize like a lot of the things that I have, I'm either break even or I've lost money on because there's just no value to them because the IP doesn't support it. And there's just not enough demand for it. So, we'll see like Decon as an example, they did like 15 drops. I think I have one thing from the Decon out of the 15 drops. Like for me, individual artists, like it's great to support an individual artist. Shout out to everyone that did do that. All of the drops did sell out. But for me, like, yeah, I'm going to collect what I love, but I'm also going to collect things that I love that I think are going to make me money because that's also part of the reason I love it. So I think, yeah, I'm going to stick to kind of the big brand IP, the money that I like. A perfect example. I got the Batman battle statue with Killer Croc. Mm-hmm. Nothing against Alligator Loki's. Croc is different. Don't anyone hate me. Loki to the moon. I got it on the drop, so $60. Sold it for $2,500, and then bought it back at $370. Now I bought it back mostly out of principle. I think it could still go lower long term, but I bought it back because it was a one of one that completed a set, which means that I could hold it for the Master Collector points as completing a set. And I think it looks nice. It's a nice statue, but it was never worth $2,500 in my opinion. And unfortunately, some people did spend that amount of money on it. And I hope it does get back up to that level for those people, but I don't think that it ever will. Whereas a thing like the partner statue, which I've been very clear, I own 3 of them. Further caveat, 2 of them I got on the drop. The third one I bought on the dip. So I spent like $27,000 on it. Yeah. So to be clear, it's not like it was a good investment at $300, and then it was also a good investment at $27,000 in my opinion. Yeah. It was an even better investment when it went down to like $15,000 earlier this week, which I didn't see happening. And if I had the money, I would have picked up another one.
That was only on there for like a second.
Yeah.
Like it was on there for I saw it. It was on like Saturday, I think.
Yeah.
And then it got scooped up.
Yeah. So, I think that's a collectible that will far surpass the previous all-time high that it hit. I think Todd, which hit an all-time high of $14,000. I bought another Todd when it went down to $6,000. It went all the way down to $4,000. I thought I had timed the bottom. I didn't, but I'm also not upset about it because I believe it will surpass at least $14,000. So I feel like if you can take advantage of these opportunities and recognize them when they're available, you can definitely load up and make some moves. So those would be collectibles, like I said, that I have duplicates of that have value that I'll probably take profit in at some point. DC is obviously a little more appealing than Disney because of the 2.5% fee. I also have a ASM #1 secret rare comic book that once comic books get some form of utility, I may offload because I'm not a huge comic book guy, but I do think that will hit anywhere between $30,000 to $50,000 post utility. So I'll probably take profit in that. And then, I live a comfortable enough life paycheck to paycheck that I don't need to take profit. And I think that's an important, like, if you're able to do that and hold things long term, that's where you're going to make the most money. Like, if you have an opportunity to take 10% and 10% matters to you, take that 10% hands down. Like, good for you. Like, make that profit, run with it. And I've seen some people, they'll tag me on Twitter and they'll be like, oh, I bet you sold when Omi was at 0.007. Yeah, if I was day trading, I would have been super stoked about it because I'd buy back in now and I'd have more Omi. But for me, I'm not good at technical analysis, and I understand all the catalysts that are coming for Omi, and I also understand that there's not enough liquidity to warrant me selling out of it and risking being able to get back in and timing the bottom. The thing about trading is that you need to be right twice. You need to be right at the top and you need to be right at the bottom. And even people like Graham Stephan will say, like, it's not long term. Andre Jek made a video about it. The people that have been the most successful in the stock market over the last 40 years are people that were deceased and weren't able to touch their investments because they weren't allowed to have emotion cloud their judgment when it came to their investment. So I'm okay with just leaving it sit there. Could I own more Omi if I was to day trade it? Yes. Did I try day trading it once? Yes. Did I lose 100,000 Omi? Yes. So I will never do it again. And, you know, I've learned that. That's my comfort level. Some people, they may be like, yo, dude, I trade Omi all the time. It's so easy. And like, that's cool. That's your thing. But for me, I'll accumulate more Omi through the sale of my collectibles eventually. Hopefully the price stays low so that I can do it right now. $2,700 gets you a million Omi right now, which is incredible.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
For these are all such crazy, MC1, Spidey Secret Rare, Waltz, they're all such crazy things. I wouldn't know which, it's a coin flip, on which you take profit on first. I don't know, thoughts on that?
Well, I already took profit on the Spider-Man Secret Rare when I sold it 6 months ago. So same. That's a story for another day. Okay, so a couple different considerations, Lens. Good question. First one, what has more utility? So Spider-Man Secret Rare is animated. Marvel comic you can actually read. It's a variant. It's not the original cover, but it is the first ever comic book that was released by Marvel. Therefore, it has a lot of value. The Spider-Man is the most valuable IP that Marvel has. So that's also valuable. We've seen them both hit all-time highs of approximately $100,000. So it's hard to say. Walt is kind of a different conversation, in my opinion. I think Walt has quite a few more additions than the other two. And at the same time, I don't see Walt exploding in value again at the same level that these two will explode. Like, I made a video about this on my channel last month. Like, I maintain that the Marvel Comic 1 Secret Rare and the Spidey Secret Rare will be worth more than Walt. I just like Walt. I think Walt's awesome, and I could afford him at the time. Spider-Man Secret Rare went out of my level of value, and same with the Secret Rare comic. I would maybe say, and it depends what your goals are, right? Like how much Omi are you looking to secure? How much Omi do you already hold? Because if you already have a ton of Omi and you're just looking to add a little bit, then you sell the least expensive ones. Do you have duplicates of any of them? Because that also plays into the line because you sell the duplicate. I think if comic utility hasn't come yet, you don't sell the Secret Rare comic, because I do anticipate them going up quite substantially in value once you can display them in your showrooms and stuff. The thing about Spider-Man Secret Rare, and I'm going to seem biased about this because I sold one and whatever, like, that's fine, but this is just my opinion. It's an FA, but there's really like 50,000 of them. Yeah. Because the common has like 32,000 editions. The uncommon has like 16,000. The rare has like 8,000 or whatever. I think it's like 56,000 editions. And the thing is they all have the FA tag. It's not like the SR is the only one that has the FA tag. They're all the same character, just in a different pose. So my hypothesis is, if you want the exclusivity and rarity of owning the SR and you have the funding, then you're going to focus on the SR. Yeah. But there's so many people that will invest in this casually, or maybe don't have the funds to YOLO 90% of their investment into the SR, and they'll invest in the ultra rare because it's also animated. And people, if you look at it, it looks pretty much the exact same. It's just the SR has an additional animation. So unless that animation has some form of utility in the Veve Verse, or you can interact with them or whatever the case may be, I don't know that the Spider-Man Secret Rare long term, like I said, short term, it's still going to be much more valuable than Walt. But long term, I think it plateaus sooner than something like Marvel Comic #1 Secret Rare, because there's only 600 of them. And even Walt. And the reason for that is the Walt is a one of one that completes a set. And it's the FA of Mickey Mouse and Walt Disney. And I see it getting some form of utility from Disney before I see the Spider-Man getting utility, because there's so few of them, and they can add in those additional incentives, but they're all good investments. And if you own all three of them, congratulations, that's fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know if Kobe was talking to me with this when he said, I'll trade you Walt for 3 Lokis. I would totally do
it. He was, and then Dino mentioned that he would do it right now, and Kobe said that he'd charge him a $24,000 escrow fee. So.
Yeah, I mean, I never said I wouldn't trade my Lokis. Just said I wouldn't sell. So that's my thing there. So there's 2 things I want to go over. One is from Ivan Anderson saying, what do you think will happen when the market reopens? Means illegal funds enter the, well, I mean, yeah, there was an artificial, but I mean, those gems aren't really there anymore. And you have a lot of those collectibles that aren't there anymore either. So you did take a small chunk of the supply of those collectibles and kind of got rid of them. So what's your thoughts, Foster?
Well, so it's interesting, and I knew we were obviously going to touch on this at some point, and I think that there's still a lot of unknowns. I mean, I think Veve put out a tweet, and I'm actually going to pull it up because I don't want to misquote this, because I think that that's part of the issue, is that we'll talk about things and not have the correct information, and then people will draw conclusions that are incorrect, and it just becomes this whole thing. So they put out a tweet saying, this was 15 hours ago. So they said, we've become aware of an exploit of our systems, which resulted in a large amount of gems being acquired illegitimately. We appreciate the members of the community that have come to us after noticing unusual activity. As a result of this exploit, we have closed the market, gem purchases and transfers while we investigate. We will update you on the expected timing of market opening as soon as we can. Some users have had their accounts restricted while we investigate. We will be getting in touch with those users directly. We appreciate your understanding. So we know what happened.
Yeah.
Gems have been added into the market illegitimately. We don't know conclusively how that has happened. What I've kind of found out from listening to other people and talking to other people, it sounds like there was a glitch in PayPal where you were able to add credit cards that were either not valid or expired, and you were able to charge those credit cards to PayPal, and then you could use PayPal as a payment method to add gems onto Veve. Now, that's what I've heard. I'm not saying that that's correct. It's conceivable that Veve's payment processor messed up and it was Veve's fault. But from what I'm hearing, it sounds like it was an issue with PayPal, and those payments were able to be done correctly. And then there was also an issue where people were using credit cards that were expired, and that's how it was identified. Is someone used the credit card that was expired, and then they went, well, wait, my payment went through. I used the wrong credit card, and that's how that was reported. So we don't know how long this has been going on for. It could have been a few days, or it could have been someone was taking advantage of this for a month, and they're looking through a month of transactions, and it was just someone got greedy and over the weekend really tried to exploit it, and that's when it ended up on people's radar. It could have been a coincidence. We don't know. But what we do know is there was gems that were obviously purchased illicitly. If people just reference the gems from the date that before the market was closed, they think it was $8 million. It could be much more than that, because the day before that there was 5 million purchased. The day before that there was 3 million purchased. It could be 20 million. We don't really know. And that's part of the reason that Veve is going to keep the market closed until such a time that they can do their due diligence, because PayPal wants their money, the app stores want their money, and Veve wants their money. So we don't know who's responsible. And once again, I'm not saying that PayPal is the one responsible. I'm not saying that Apple or Android are responsible. I'm not saying that Veve is responsible. We don't know yet. We just know that an exploit was discovered and that people have taken advantage of it. And now the issue becomes, how do you address it? Because there was obviously a few characters that were nefarious and took advantage of this situation. But then there were a ton of other people that were probably none the wiser that have now got caught in the crossfire. So there's a lot of considerations. And where do you draw the line on this? So as a perfect example, you have, person A that is the person responsible for the illicit activity. They're the ones that did it. They got the gems for free. They then sell those gems to a couple people that they trust for like 0.15, 0.12. They don't care. They made $10,000 for every $100,000 that they sell. And then these people go and sell to other people on Telegram, on Discord, on whatever for like 0.3, 0.35, 0.4, which is lower than what the rates have been historically. So people start buying it up. They look at it as an opportunity. They're like, hey, KYC is coming. Bots are just selling off their gems as they always have. And Veve has indicated that they don't enforce off-app trading. So I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity and I'm going to buy. So then they buy. And then some of them may even have resold to someone else. And then I now have gems on my account. I'll just use me as an example. I have gems on my account. So I hypothetically bought gems and I whatever. And then I buy collectibles from other people. So I buy a collectible from Randy that had it listed. So now Randy technically has the illicit gems because I bought the collectible from him. But I didn't know that I bought illicit gems. And Randy had no way of knowing that the gems that he was going to be getting paid were illicit. But now here's the problem. I own a collectible that was bought with illicit gems. Randy now has gems that were illicit. Neither of us knew. And we got to go back 2 or 3 levels before we can actually find the person responsible. But these gems still exist and someone has to pay for them. So how do we go about it? Because you can't make me repay for the collectible and you can't take Randy's gems away because now we're both getting double charged. And that's not fair. So does Randy get his collectible back? And then I have to pay for the gems that I had? What happens if I got those gems from someone else that bought? So it's just, there's so many things. So that's why they're going to take the time to make sure that they can research all of this and figure out what's going on. They probably have forensic investigators and things because this is criminal, right? Like this is fraud. So like they have to answer to probably like the authorities in New Zealand who are going to say, you know, this happened on your app. Was this money laundering? What was it in relation to? So this could take, I mean, several days, if not longer, to really figure out. I don't know of anyone that has been contacted yet who has had their accounts disabled. My accounts, you know, obviously are still active. I haven't had any issues with them. But I imagine that it's going to be closed for a while. And I think people need to recognize that, you know, whether this was Veve's fault or whether this wasn't Veve's fault, who knows? It doesn't really matter at this point. Like this is something that needs to be addressed because like people said, we can't have 8 million gems or 10 million or 20 million gems floating around that Veve now has to cover when MTL comes. But once again, who do you hold accountable for this? Because if I bought 1 million gems illegally and then I bought 500 collectibles from 500 different people, well, now there's 500 accounts that are associated with it. And then each of those accounts goes out and makes 2 purchases. Well, now you have 15. So like, where do you draw the line? Insane. So I don't envy the position that they are in right now. And I know that they're going to take the time that they need to take in order to make sure that they can, you know, rectify this situation. Will we see some volatility when the market reopens? Most likely. But to be honest with you, with the amount of accounts that are being restricted and disabled, it's conceivable that we'll have a supply shock for a lot of these collectibles. Because for all we know, you know, I've heard some whales that got banned that had a lot of collectibles. If it's found out that they were complicit in this and they don't get their collectibles back and they don't get their gems back, those collectibles are locked forever, right? Yeah. So like it could be interesting. We'll have to see. I don't know if it'll be a positive or a negative, but I do expect to see volatility when the market.
I mean, we have some very public whales. You know, you have Ray Fixie, you have Dr. Profit, you have Mr. Pags. But what if there's like a silent whale? That someone that we don't know about, someone that just took like a, let's just say like a Becky Cloonan Batman that has, I don't know, what do they have, like 2,500, 3,500 of those?
Something like that, yeah.
And they just happen to love that one because they're simping for Becky. And they're like from, I don't know, they got like oil money, they're from Saudi Arabia, got the Arab money, and they just went and bought like a third of them. And suddenly they're gone. Like I would love to see percentages, and they didn't update us with this, which I don't expect them to for a while. There's tons of things they have to work on first, but I want to see sold listings like in the marketplace, like, oh, what was the last things that these sold for? And I also want to see how much of collectibles were burned or locked up. Burning will obviously, they didn't touch on burning yet either. No. And I'm very, very excited for the benefits that we would get for burning. Like, so curious. And then also like how many were locked up because they were from bots or they these credit card fraud, whatever. I'm so curious about that. That's just my thing.
No, I completely agree with you. It's going to be very interesting to get a lot of that that data coming out, and I think it'll be really good to see, previous purchase history. People will get a better sense of what the value of a lot of these collectibles are, and you'll be able to see how much was paid for them. I mean, mind you, I guess if gems were purchased off app, it's not necessarily a true value, but once again, like outside of this exploit, every dollar or every gem is tied to $1, right? Which is why they're taking this situation so seriously, because like everyone's out money at this point. Like PayPal is out money because they didn't get any money for whatever. Because technically, when you load money onto PayPal and then you send money, like PayPal takes a fee, but like PayPal is backing all of the money that you send.
Yeah.
So now PayPal owes money to Apple or Android, because they're like, hey, you didn't give us our money that you loaded for these purchases to be made. Yeah. So Apple wants their money, and then Veve wants their money because Vivi's like, well, we need to back this in our app 1-to-1, and Apple's taking a 30% fee. So like Apple wants their 30%, Veve wants their like 55%, whatever, and PayPal wants their 100% realistically. So I would imagine that there are forensic investigators with PayPal and Apple and Android working with Veve IT to try and figure out, to comb through all the logs, to whatever, to figure out,
I mean, if it was just credit cards, it would take a long time to get up to $8 million in credit cards at $600 a pop or $350 a pop.
Yeah. And that's why I think that there's something about, I had heard and I didn't fully understand it, but like, yeah, you can limit purchases like $600 at a time, but like apparently with PayPal, the limit was like $10,000 or $20,000 a day. So like it didn't flag, like, whereas Apple flags it sooner. So like if you loaded it up through PayPal, you could burn like through $20,000, which I mean maybe takes you a minute, right? Like just 600 buy, and then once you run out, you move to the next account, and then and whatever. So it's and with, like I said, we don't know how long this has been going on for. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this has worked out. And I'm glad to see that Veve put out that tweet. I honestly hadn't noticed that yesterday when they had put that out. So I am glad to hear that they've communicated at least why the market is down. And hopefully once they get updates, we'll know. If anyone has been contacted by Veve because your account is restricted, no judgment at the end of the day, but reach out to Randy or I. Like, I'd like to hear what's going on in the back end, like what they're asking for. Are they just looking to KYC? Are they asking you how you bought the gems, how much you paid for them, who you bought them from, what the wallet address is of the person you bought them from? Like what are the things that they're asking for? Because from an enforcement background, I would be interested to see what steps they're taking to investigate this. So
same. I'm liking that they're taking their time to investigate it, and like I said, I think that is something that if it was some type of credit card fraud, and maybe that would be on Visa, MasterCard, or if it's PayPal, I don't know if that'd be on Pay. I feel like some of the tech companies, like they have money in accounts, like they would write this off as a loss.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm pretty sure Apple and Google would do that. I don't know.
I think Apple and Google and PayPal would have no problem writing it off.
Yeah.
The problem becomes it's a service and a good that Veve has to account for, right? So I'm sure that this happens all the time, maybe not to this extent, but I'm sure that they have fraud cases like almost daily. Like these large companies have entire divisions that are dedicated to this. Yeah. My concern is what does Veve do with that? The biggest concern, and once again, not to spread FUD or whatever, but this is just speaking out loud, is if it was Veve's fault, does Veve now have to fork out 3x what they lost to cover everything? Yeah. Because, well, probably not 3x, because they'd only owe Apple the App Store fees. And maybe Apple would be like, listen, you're a good customer, we'll let you write it off. But if they have to, let's say it's 20 million and they owe Apple 6 million at 30%, and then they owe PayPal 20 million.
Yeah.
And then they have to figure out a way to offset the 20 million in the app because those gems are floating around that are illegitimate. Yeah, I don't know. So like I said, and this is the problem, right? Is you can make guesses and whatever all day, but if you don't have the information from the team, you're really just spreading information that's not true, which is why I try not to do it too much. Yeah. Like, obviously, like I said, I have my own opinions on what could have happened. Like I said, I've heard not from anyone in a position of authority that it sounded like it was a glitch with PayPal, which makes me hope that Veve is not liable for it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like I said, if you load money onto a PayPal credit card and it's valid and Apple is receiving those funds from PayPal, they're going to assume it's valid and they're going to let that transaction go through. So that to me is the best case scenario. No offense to PayPal, but they can afford this. Let them eat it. And at the end of the day, hopefully Vivi's just like, hopefully the delay is that they're just working through, okay, who has these illicit gems right now? And what do we do? Well, you probably restrict the accounts so you can determine how many illicit gems exist. You take those illicit gems from those accounts, and then you, assuming KYC is completed and you can validate the user, you give the account back to the person.
Yeah.
But I mean, anyone that bought gems, you're gonna, I mean, the scammer's not gonna refund you, right? So like you're
gonna get
that money.
I mean, I think it was, I forget who posted it, saying that like, well, in the real world, if you buy a stolen car from someone, you're just chill. They're not gonna try. Cops aren't going to try to get your money back for you. They're going to arrest you for having a stolen car, and you're going to have to. I think they might actually fine you because you didn't do your due diligence on the car and you didn't do whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're getting hacked. Like, look at the real world.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I mean, and at the end of the day, like every person. Well, I shouldn't say every person because, like I said, like if I have illicit gems and you have a collectible listed on the floor, and I buy that collectible from you, like how is that in a million years your fault that I used illicit gems to buy your collectible? So like they're gonna have to draw the line somewhere. I think that they're gonna take. Last I heard, there was, and someone sent me a link actually. There's an actual Telegram group of people that have been restricted,
that were banned.
I don't know if every person that's in the group is restricted or if it's just some people keeping track of it, but there's 433 people that are in that group. So whether or not those 433 people are all restricted, I don't know. I haven't been keeping track of it, but once again, they've indicated they're going to reach out to all these people, probably on the email that's associated with their account. And they're going to say, hey, like, how'd you buy these gems? Like, what's the deal with this situation? And they're probably going to take as many easy victories as they can. So for like that first level of scammer, if he still had gems on his account or her, like they're going to lose them all very easily because it's very easy to ascertain the initial source. The secondary sources, you're probably cooked too because, you know, if you're getting gems at 0.10 on the dollar, like, hey, you probably know something. Like, how'd you get in contact with that person, right? Because that person's just looking to offload as quick as possible. So if you know them, you're in the know. The third party, depending on the situation, you may also get cooked as well. But they're going to have to draw the line somewhere. Like High on HI said very recently, like Vive's going to have to eat some costs. And I do very much believe that. Because like I said, if I'm the third person that bought gems and then I go out and buy 20 collectibles from 20 different people, all 20 of those people now have illicit gems. Yeah. You can't go to 20 people that had collectibles listed on the floor and just take their money away from them and then have them also lose their collectible. Now, I guess you could go to the third person, restrict their account, take all of their collectibles away. But it's the same issue. Yeah, because like they're gonna say, well, how did I know that I got those gems illicitly? I sold a Todd for $10,000. How did I know that the person used illicit gems to buy mine? Like, so they're gonna take the easy wins where it's clear as day, and hopefully that's where the largest amount of volume of gems is. Hopefully, when they were able to restrict the accounts, a lot of people were sitting with, you know, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of gems. And for those, you know, couple dozen people, it's gonna sting. They're gonna lose some money for sure. But for the most part, like you can't go out and, like I said, you know, 500 people, then 1,500. Like you can't take 5,000 people's accounts and take all their collectibles away from them because Veve will implode. They will just absolutely implode. Like they're gonna have to eat that cost because everyone would lose faith in the project if you could just go into everyone's account and take it from them. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't work. It'd be like going to a bank and withdrawing money that you have in a bank account, and a bank has $1 million, and that $100 that you withdrew happened to be tied to like 10% that was fraudulent, and then the bank going, yeah, we're taking your $100 away from you. It's like, you would never bank with that bank again. You know what I mean? So,
super salty.
Yeah.
So there was one last thing that I wanted to get in before we bounced about 2.5 hours. It was a soundbite from a Marvel podcast that took place a month ago, and the contact with Marvel, I think you know what I'm talking about. They had worked with Veve, and they mentioned that, so I'll give you something. So we want to do this year, talking about 2022, more than just Mighties, more than just comics, and more than just 3D digital collectibles. Mm-hmm. They have something else that's planned. We don't know what it is. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh God, I don't know. I really don't like. It could be tied to movies somehow, or like IRL events or something. It could be so many things. Like, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think you said events in IRL. They were talking yesterday about how if you go to an event, because Veve's partner with so many people, you go to an event and you get, let's say, like a promo code on your ticket stub, and then you put that promo code into the app, you can get an NFT that is associated with that event. I think that could happen at DesignerCon, maybe that could happen at Comic-Con, and again, if they are partnering with Marvel, I mean, they already did something with Marvel already that said Marvel Unlimited. If you subscribe to them, you get a promo code and you get that free comic.
Yeah,
I don't know how many comics of those there were, but it was, but that's still a comic book though. So maybe it's like maybe it can go the opposite way. They hand out promo codes, and if KYC is done on your account by that point, you put in the promo code KYC. They have your address, right? KYC.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. Like, due to privacy, like I don't think Veve would have your address, but the KYC provider would.
Okay. So why I said that is because if you have a promo code, let's say you buy something digitally for them, and then you put the promo code in there, they have your address, then they can send you the physical item, and that's something we haven't done yet. Well said. Khan said movie tickets with trailer video NFTs attached. That would be dope.
That'd be dope. And shout out to Cavell Anderson in the building.
Dude, did you see his live yesterday?
I saw part of it. I didn't get to watch all of it because it was honestly like
it was.
I was actually in the Telegram group, kind of creeping because I haven't joined it, but you can look at it with it, and like I just like. I saw everyone like roasting Cavell out of nowhere, and I was like, "Where did this come from?" And then I pulled up Cavell's live, and I was like, "Okay, I see where it's coming from now."
Yeah, so, Cavell spun it. Cavell's like put it up on live and is laughing at them, and then somebody was just like, I think Veve should like reimburse everyone, eat the fees. Cavell like, you are a freaking idiot. Like, shut the fuck up. I was like, oh my god. So,
but you know what? I will say though, into that because. Once again, it depends who's liable for it, right? Like whose fault is this? Like someone made a comment a few minutes ago at like 2:03, or when was it? 2:03. Philip B said he doesn't think, and this is just speculation, right? But this is why it's important to have the conversation. Like if it was done through modified APK files and they were able to do it that way, then Veve would be responsible for all of those costs. Yeah. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing because once again, that means PayPal isn't owed any money. Apple might be owed 30%, but I think probably because it wasn't a real purchase, Apple wouldn't take a fee. So if that's the case, that's actually good because they can just shut the app down, remove as many as the very obvious illicit gems, and then move on. Like that to me is actually a good thing. Like if that's the case, great. But it's just no one really knows, right? So like we can all give our opinions, our thoughts, what we've heard. But I do agree with Cavell. Like at the end of the day, like I hope that Veve's not out of pocket for any of this. But what I hope even less is that users are out of pocket less, because I think that at the end of the day, Veve, if they're making $1 billion in revenue this year, they'll be able to stomach an $8 million loss. And it probably wouldn't even be 8 million because with fees, with withdrawals and everything, like it would be less than that. I think that they could make that work a lot better than punishing individual users. Because once again, like if you ban, like I said, like if you ban me and I haven't done anything wrong, and you're like, nah, I'm taking your collectibles and stuff from you, like I'm a moon boy, but we're gonna have a problem. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's where I draw the line. And that's why like I'm trying not to pass too much judgment yet, because they've already put out, we've restricted accounts for now and we'll be reaching out to you directly, right? So they're basically saying like, listen, everyone's accounts are locked right now that we think may be implicated, but we're going to reach out to you directly. So they're doing their due diligence. We're not saying, hey, we took your stuff. We're saying, hey, we have reason to suspect you may have had some involvement and we want to speak to you. And that's all that they're doing. They're just ensuring that the money can't go anywhere until they speak to the person, which, I mean, at the end of the day sucks. It's an inconvenience to those users. And if you were affected and you didn't know, I do apologize. But I respect and understand them taking that step. Where, like I said, I had the issue with is if you talk to that person and they're like, yeah, I've been buying gems off app for 6 months and never had an issue. And now all of a sudden I buy gems off app. You indicated that you don't enforce off app purchases, even though you're against it. The only time you do it is if it's related to bot or scam activity. But I was the third person that bought those gems and had no way of knowing because the person showed their transaction history, whatever. I did my due diligence. How are you going to punish me? And then they take all their stuff away from them. That is where I'd probably draw the line. For the scammer, like, F that guy. Like, put him to the coals. He should go to jail. Like, honestly, this is a serious amount of fraud.
That's a felony. Yeah,
it's a felony, like 100%. like screw that guy. But at the same time, like, we have to be really careful because the community is already in somewhat of a fragile place. Like, if we're gonna go around arbitrarily punishing people who could not have known better, like you would play the shoulda, woulda, coulda game. Like, if you couldn't have known better, because once again, like, I don't care if you want to buy gems off app. Like, I really don't care. Like, the gems have always been tied 1-to-1. So if you want to sell at a discount, people have multiple reasons to sell gems off app. It's not just botters. It's people looking to get liquidity because they have bills to pay or they want to move on to another project. Like, I don't care. I don't judge people for that. Where I have an issue with it is when you say that you're not going to take action against it and you haven't done it for, I've known of Telegram groups for at least a year that have been operating. And then now all of a sudden you're going to take action. And it's like, okay, so we need to send a consistent message. And as long as everyone's on the same page of what that message is, that's fine. But if it's not, that's when we're going to run into those issues. And that's when it becomes a lot more difficult for people like us and Cavell to side with Veve and say like, hey, this is a reasonable step. But we don't know what steps they're going to take yet. So I'm not going to assume that their action is going to be unreasonable. So
that's a fair point.
Yeah.
What Cavell was talking about before we got back into that was that video he's talking about with Alcon that was 4 years old. So that was from 2018. Some of the things that they had said in that video have come to fruition. Some have not yet. Maybe some things won't because, again, things changed. It was 4 years ago. But, again, trust in the team. And I think that is something that, he had such ambition. He's not going to say something if he doesn't have the intention to do it. And I was talking about when I heard Golden Moments, I thought they would do like a Top Shot thing. I thought they would do like, oh, here's a picture or like a 5-second clip of Tony Stark saying, "I'm Iron Man." And they could do that right now. That'd be so great if they started to do that.
100%. I think that would be massive. I think if they did something like that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Cavell also had something on his videos last year talking about Pixion Games and how the characters in there look very similar to the Marvel Mighties. So Mr. Planet Prophet says games are music. Well, Marvel hasn't done games on Veve yet, but they probably will when the Veve Verse is launched. And I think they would probably, based on that interview that we had heard in February with him, at the end of that saying, that for 2022, they're looking at doing that this year, if that's what they're talking about, if they're talking about games.
Exactly. And I think it's important to keep those things in perspective too. Like Alcon was a part of this project since, end of 2017, beginning of 2018, when David approached him with the idea. And remember that like Alcon was like retired at that point. Like he had made his money. He was good. He could just go with his wife and just relax somewhere on an island. Like he came back because he thought that this was going to change the world. And this is a legacy project for him. Like this is going to be the thing that people reference him for. Like Pokemon was like 30 years ago. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is going to be the thing now that he's known for. And so, when he says, we have 6 of the top 10, children brands in the world. And well, I guess with Veve, we're actually going to have 7 now. So like this man doesn't mince his words. He's a man of action. And, he comes out when he needs to come out and to reassure people or say what he needs to say. But like the guy's all business, and he's in the background getting the stuff done with the licensors, getting the foot in the door with the people that they need to speak with. And I mean, that's what his role was. Like he's the head of licensing. Like his job is to get their foot in the door. So when people see the name Al Khan pop up on the invite list, they're going to invite Veve through the door because they know what that name means in licensing. So, yeah. And someone asked, Michael asked, where do you buy OMI, or what exchange do you buy OMI? And then JR, shout out, you said I have a tutorial for it. There's a couple of people that have made how to buy OMI videos. I'm going to plug mine from the specific fact that I live in Canada and I went from that base point. But I think Randy's also done a video, Cavell's done a video. But if you go on my YouTube channel and type in how to buy OMI, I literally walk you through step by step from Canada how I bought the OMI token. So if
I actually have not done a video.
Oh, you haven't? Oh,
because
you have trouble. You can't buy OMI.
Yeah, because you need a computer. Like you can do it on BitForex, but every time I try it on the BitForex app, it just goes and forces me out. It like closes. So, and I don't have a computer, so I was like, okay, I had to send Bitcoin to a buddy, and luckily, because it was all like a quick buy Bitcoin, send Bitcoin. Like that's not really taxable because it's just a quick. Like if I were to hold Bitcoin, it goes one way or the other, then it would be. But luckily, that's not taxable until I actually sell the OMI. Thank God.
Nice.
You said you were going to try to go to Decon in London. If OMI goes up, I'll go everywhere. OMI goes up, you're going to.
Well, and I hate to make it about money, but like that's the main catalyst for me. Like I'm not going to sit here and assume that Veve is going to pay my way as an influencer to bring me. Like I'm paying my own way, right? So like if I'm spending, $1,000 on a flight just to get out there, and I got to pay for hotel and all that stuff, like I'd love to come, like 100%, I'd love to come. But it's just going to be like, what do my financials look like at the time? Like if I can financially afford to come, I will 100% come. I mean, I also got to check in with the wife. I do have a young one at home, but maybe we'll turn it into a vacation and we'll all come together and we'll hang out. I was so mad that I couldn't go to the event last year that you and Taps went to, and a couple of the other content creators came. That looked like so much fun. I was so jealous. I can't wait to meet people. It's going to be fantastic. So if I can get the time off work and afford it, I will 100% be there.
Oh my goodness, there's best cams. This is like the third time they've been on here.
God.
I don't know why they choose.
And here we are thinking that Veve has issues with bots. They all come to Randy's stream.
Yeah, they'll just do it. But yeah, so I can't wait to just do everything fun. It'll be super fantastic. But that'll be it. Any final thoughts you want to give to people?
I mean, I feel like I've echoed it throughout our entire conversation, but just, outside of this specific situation that's happening with the gems, because obviously that's a little bit messed up and it kind of throws off the flow. Overall, like roadmap wise, like if you don't, you should probably know by now what's coming. Like you've probably heard Randy speak about it enough, even in this, live, we've spoken on it quite a bit. Re-listen to the live, the AMA that they did. A lot of really exciting things are coming, and I don't like to play the soon game because that's generally what it gets referenced to is like it's coming soon, but it's not here yet. And, I mentioned this a little earlier in the stream, but just remember everyone, like the fact that it's not here yet and so many people are bullish on the project is the single biggest form of credibility that you need for the project.
Yeah.
If all of the utility was already here and we were all trying to sell you on how great that this project is, but the price wasn't going anywhere, then I'd be worried because why isn't the price moving anywhere when we have all of this? We don't have any of that right now, but it's very easy for me to see just from running the numbers because I am a numbers guy, what will come once we have a lot of those things.
Coin wizard.
So if you believe in the fact that those things are happening, and once again, it comes, what side do you sit on? Do you believe or do you not believe? If you believe, you're not really worried. If you don't believe, that's totally okay as well. Either figure out the things that you don't believe and speak to people and find out why you don't believe in them. Or if you don't believe in them, just move on to something else. And that's totally okay as well. You can always join the project again later. I'm not going to be the one that, says, sign Arya, you need to leave or whatever. Like I support everyone and everyone's belief. You don't think Omi's going to be successful. You don't think Veve's going to be successful. That's totally okay. I just feel differently than you. And we're both allowed to have our own opinions. It doesn't make one of us right or wrong or bad people. We can still have conversations. We can still be friends. We just don't see eye to eye on the same things. I think Randy and I obviously feel very similarly about the long-term outlook of the project. I think we probably differ in our bullishness in the short term. I think Randy's probably more bullish than I am. And I love that. I love being around his energy and whatever. For me,
I think long-term also, I think I mean, I am thinking like pretty, not best case scenario, but I am thinking, it's like, shout out to Cavell for doing it first, but I think $10 by 2030 is not outside the realm of possibility if we burn, by the next 8 years, 112 billion Omi, which if we stay down here, we burn more than that in the next, obviously that's got to be from circulating supply. Yeah. And we'd have to have a $2 trillion market cap by 2030. But there's a lot of money going to go into Web3. People aren't spending billions of dollars, like Microsoft's not spending $70 billion to buy Activision Blizzard, and
yep.
Sony paying a few $1 billion to buy Bungie, creators of Halo.
Like I said, the single most bullish thing that can happen with the project short term, and people won't want to hear it, but the best thing that could happen is Omi price stays low, collectible values increase, and Omi to NFT comes out, and we have other forms of utility that burn tokens directly from the circulating supply. Because, like I said, we could literally burn like 50 billion tokens directly from the circulating supply, just from having Omi utility through the fees. Like if we could do that, that would be really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it's rolled out. I hope that this situation doesn't take away from the possibilities that the project has. Obviously, we're at a speed bump right now, and a little bit of a crossroads with what the project is gonna. How they handle this situation is going to be very telling, I think, over the short term, how we see this project progress. If they handle it appropriately and correctly and give a satisfaction that's good for the community, especially after the AMA that we had recently, I'm super excited. We didn't talk about it, and I know we're wrapping up, but I'm super excited. I know that Cavell feels differently than... That's awesome.
I think Foster Hilt, because
that actually got a rhyme to it. Foster Hilt.
Also, it's got HIV in the last name of Ranter Heisviz. So I don't know.
Yeah. I do feel differently than Cavell when it comes to the KYC aspect. I understand and respect his perspective and where he's coming from. I do think that it will, at least in the short term, diminish some of the more explosive growth that we were experiencing, because there's no advertising, there's no marketing. So right now you're just onboarding people through word of mouth. And it was very easy for me to go to one of my friends and say, hey, download this app. It takes 2 minutes. You log on, you buy collectibles. And that was the selling point. It was easy. I think it'll be a little bit more difficult in the short term to say, hey, you should buy this collectible, or you should download this app. You have to do KYC, which takes, even if it takes 15, 20 minutes, which isn't even that long. It's just, you're going to have less casual people entering into the space in the short term. And I agree with that will stunt the growth. But at the same time, I don't know that stunting growth in the short term is necessarily a bad thing, because we've already far surpassed the goals that we expected to hit all the way up until year 3 or 4. So maybe taking a little bit of break on user growth and focusing more so on the fundamentals that are going to allow the project to be successful in the long term is the better option to take. And so, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it'll be good as a mechanism to reduce bot activity. And it's funny because so many people complain about bots, and then they go, we're going to KYC. And then everyone's like, oh, we're going to KYC. And it's like, well, you complain about bots. So now we're dealing with the bot. So it's like, they're never going to make everyone happy. I'm going to KYC. Obviously, one of the issues with children with KYCing, we'll have to see how that's dealt with. Like I said earlier in the stream, and Cavell mentioned it on his live as well. Fortnite, Roblox, all these companies geared towards children have obviously found a way to circumvent or get past dealing with these issues. I'm a nerd. I play Rocket League, and a lot of kids play Rocket League, and a lot of people buy skins in Rocket League too, and they're under the age of 18. They probably don't have credit cards too. So, it's becoming more and more common in today's society to have these types of platforms that are geared towards children, that have money still flowing into them from parents and other sources. So in the long term, I think that there's a lot of positives that we're looking at towards the project. And like I said, the main difference from having this conversation now versus having this conversation last year is in last year, all of these things were an idea. And this year, all of these things are coming to fruition. And that gets me really excited. So
this is the 4th time. It says I blocked them, but they still commented anyway somehow. I don't know. But that was good. That was very good. Thank you for being here with me today. Our Veve fam shirt. Hope they have a child-friendly onboarding process. There's a guy named Adam Awesomeface. He comments a lot. He said yesterday that they could potentially do a second app, like a kid-friendly app.
Yep.
Or like I said, just have parental control and that type of thing.
Yeah,
like,
no, I think
PS2.
Yeah, I think Cavell hits the nail right on the head for that, right? Like as long as people still have a seamless way to use their collectibles in an effective manner, prove ownership, be able to transfer said ownership, and add funds in order to gain that ownership, I think that we'll be just fine. And I can't imagine that having KYC is some crazy foreign concept that isn't going to become a part more so of everyday life anyways. And we have to remember, crypto aside, like Veve has 1 foot in the real world, and being based out of New Zealand, it sounds like they have a whole other set of issues regulation wise that they have to overcome. So if I have to KYC my account, I'll KYC my account. If you may be able to KYC more than one account too, right? So because there's no rule against owning more than one account, right? So I can KYC 4 accounts as my own account. It's just now they can identify that account number 4 and account number 1 also belong to me. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. That means I can have my daughter, when she's a little bit older, having an account, and I can gift her some collectibles and whatever, and I still control it, but I can enact parental controls so she can't buy or sell collectibles, but she can utilize them in the metaverse and whatever the case may be. I don't think that there's an issue with that. So
yeah, that should be pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
But that is about it for today. Thank you everyone for coming by, commenting. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. And probably just stay back for like an extra 30 seconds after I end the broadcast.